Jodie, you on screen?
Yes, I am. Sorry, I was having trouble with my volume, but it seems to be sorted now.
Well, welcome, Jodie. If you could lead us through the 2024-25 audited financial statements, please.
Thank you. I'll just share the presentation now. Bear with me while it loads. Okay. Is everyone able to see that now?
Yeah.
Yep. Excellent. So good evening, Mayor, Councillors and Council Executives, and thank you for the invitation to present the report on the conduct of the audit of Oberon Council. My name's Jodie Thomas and I'm the Audit Principal of Incentus, and we are the audit service providers to the Audit Office of New South Wales. Tonight I'll be taking you through the results of our 2025 financial statement audit, the Audit Office work program for 2025 to 2028, focus areas for the upcoming local government sector report, financial results and analysis, and key infrastructure and cash management insights. This agenda outlines the main topics which we'll cover, as I said, the audit work program for 2025 to 28, focus areas of the local government sector report, financial results and analysis, cash and investment details, infrastructure assets overview, and concluding with a Q&A session. I will draw your attention to the work the Audit Office performs in not only financial audits, but also performance audits that are reported to Parliament. Performance audits assess whether the activities of government entities are carried out effectively, economically, efficiently, and in compliance with relevant laws. The Audit Office's annual work plan for 2025 to 2028 was released in August 2025. The work plan explains how the Audit Office decide what to focus on and what they intend to cover in 2025 to 2028 for all sectors that they audit. This 3-year plan gets updated annually by the Auditor General and can be revised along the way. You can also subscribe to the Audit Office website and get updates automatically. The key themes for the Audit Office audit work program for 2025 to 2026 are efficiency and the optimal use of public resources, grants administration, major capital projects, climate-related risks and opportunities, and First Nations communities. The focus of financial audits will be on financial reporting to inform users, financial sustainability and analysing data to identify early warning signs, effective internal controls to help safeguard assets and ensure integrity in financial processes, and governance frameworks which will promote accountability, compliance and ethical financial management. The planned performance audits include long-term financial planning with a series of audits designed to evaluate the effectiveness of long-term financial plans, audit risk and improvement committees' effectiveness in providing independent oversight and how councils support these committees, performance management and monitoring, including reviewing compliance with the integrated planning and reporting framework and performance measurement practices. Major capital projects, including the effectiveness of council oversight for large capital infrastructure projects, climate risk and adaptation, including how councils are preparing for and managing climate risk in asset and service planning, and waste management and evaluating how well councils understand and address service needs and obligations. The areas of focus for the 2024-25 local government sector report to Parliament include financial audit outcomes, financial sustainability, IT, cyber and artificial intelligence, major projects, internal controls and governance, including fraud control and key findings reported in management letters. I will now turn to our report on the conduct of the audit. We have completed our audit of the general purpose financial statements and special purpose financial statements, and I'm pleased to report to you today that we have issued a clean audit opinion for Oberon Council's financial statements for the year ended 30 June 2025, which means the financial statements contain no material misstatements and present fairly. The Office of Local Government Code sets out what needs to be covered by the report on the conduct of the audit. Looking at the income statement, you can see that rates and annual charges revenue increased by 0.3 million to 7.4 million for 30 June. Grants and contributions revenue decreased by around $4 million in 2024 to 2025, mainly due to a decrease of $2.7 million in special purpose grants and non-developer contributions, largely due to reduced contributions from Transport New South Wales for natural disaster works, and also receiving 77% of the financial assistance grants for the 2026 financial year in advance. That percentage was around 94% last year. The operating result from continuing operations shows that Council reported a positive operating result of $3.1 million for the year ended 30 June 2025. This was $4.3 million lower than last year, and much of this decrease was due to decreased revenue of $6.1 million, partially offset by a $2 million increase in expenses. The net operating result before capital grants and contributions reduced to a loss of $7.6 million, which was an additional decrease of $3.8 million on the result from last year. The Council's operating result has declined over the past 3 years and is $3.1 million, as I mentioned, for the 2025 financial year. This result is driven by user charges and fees, which decreased by $2.5 million due to a reduction, as I said, in Transport for New South Wales works. Grants and contributions for operating purposes decreased by $3.6 million, and I'll discuss the grants and contributions in the next slide. Materials and services expense decreased by $2.3 million due to a reduction in road maintenance contractors. Grants and contributions revenue, it comes from various levels of government and is classified based on the purpose for which the funds were received. Operating grants have decreased due to the timing of federal assistant grant receipts, and capital grants have decreased also due to special purpose grants and contributions decreasing, again due to that Transport New South Wales natural disaster works. And there was also the reduction, as I said, of the financial assistance grants for 2026 and the timing of the receipt of that revenue. The unrestricted current ratio helps assess the financial health and measures the Council's ability to pay short-term obligations as they fall due. As you can see, the unrestricted current ratio has been increasing since 2023, and at 30 June 2025, Council's unrestricted current assets were 5 times the current liabilities, excluding specific purpose liabilities. The average for rural councils in the 2024 financial year was 5.6 times, so Council is sitting just slightly under that. I'll now touch on the cash equivalents and investment balances. Looking at the cash position as at 30 June, Council had a total cash and investments balance of $27.3 million, which decreased slightly from $28.2 million in the prior year. This year, $21.2 million is externally restricted, and that mainly consists of developer contributions, unspent funds on domestic waste reserves, and unspent funds on the Water Supply Authority. As at 30 June 2025, Council reported a positive cash investment balance after external restrictions of $6 million, as compared to $8.4 million in 2024. A compliance risk for Council is breaching legislation by using these externally restricted funds for inappropriate purchases. Council require effective controls to manage externally restricted funds and prevent non-compliance and or financial difficulties. In 2024-25, the Council's main sources of externally restricted cash and investments included specific purpose unspent grants of $300,000, which decreased by $1 million, mainly due to the decrease in capital grants. Developer contributions of $4.3 million, water charges of $4.2 million, and sewer charges of $9.2 million. In 2023-2024, the available cash to cover expenses ratio was an average of 8 months for rural councils. Council is below the rural council average, or has been below that average the last 3 years, and the ratio as at 30 June was 4.4 months. The downward trend was driven by a reduction in cash inflows for grants and contributions, as we've already spoken about. So capital expenditure, Council renewed $4 million of infrastructure, property, plant and equipment during the 25 financial year. That was mainly spent on capital works in progress, including roads and other structures. $8.9 million was spent on new assets, including $6.9 million on the sporting complex, and $2 million on new plant and equipment. So I'd just like to pass on my thanks to Zoe, Matt and the finance team for their assistance throughout the conduct of our audit. And I'm happy to take any questions if anyone has any.
Councillors. Councillor Connor.
What's the audit?
Jody Thomas.
Hi, Jody. Thanks for a very detailed report, quite sobering report. Just got a question regarding the performance measures. The ones that you've presented generally don't paint a very good picture, but there's also performance measures that were included in Schedule G last year that weren't included in the financial this year. They've been included in the audited financial statement report 14.9. Can you give us some background in terms of those performance measures, particularly operating performance ratio of negative 28%, and own source operating revenue ratio of 49, which is below the benchmark of 60? And just also, could you provide some clarity whether I see other councils in this area including this Schedule G performance rate measures in their financial reports, audited financial reports? I think there's some I've got some confusion whether this should be included. Can you give clarity whether it should be in special or general purpose financial reports and being the audited financial statements? Thank you.
Yes, absolutely. So the performance ratios were actually taken out of the code, the local government code, financial reporting code this year. So they were no longer required to be included in the financial report. Some councils have chosen to continue to keep them in, and I think Oberon have decided to take them out of the financial report.
So we could include them. Is that right?
You can include them if you like. Yes, absolutely. So, but anything in the financial report will have to be audited, as has been the case. I think some of the other councils have actually included them as an appendix in the financial report, so they're not actually covered by the audit report. I think that's been the audit officer's preference, to include them after the report with a disclaimer that they aren't necessarily audited. Some of those ratios have still been the data's still been collected, and I think the report on the conduct of the audit that was issued included a few additional ratios to those that I've touched on today.
Could you give us some overview in terms of those 1 and 2 operating performance ratio and own source operating, in terms of what that actually means for us councillors?
Okay, so I'll just check if I've got those ratios. I actually don't think some of those have been included in the rocker as well this year. The format of that one's changed as well. So what I might do is just take that question on notice and get some more detail to you if you'd like.
The negative 28% when the benchmark is 0 is not particularly healthy.
No. As I said, I don't have that information right at my fingertips at the moment, so I wouldn't like to comment and tell you the wrong thing there, but I'd be happy to take that one on notice and send through some further information if you'd like.
Thank you. Thank you.
Any questions, councillors?
Yes, Jody.
Councillor McCarthy. Yeah.
Are you finding this transition to retirement is tying up machinery and plant, where the days it takes off, you had something about your plant and equipment there, but if you're transitioning to retirement, you're not utilising your plant enough? Is that not part of your report?
No, I don't
Okay.
think that's a question for audit, sorry.
Thank you.
Jody and Andrew McKibben, I'd just like to ask you about the performance of other councils in relation to Oberon, noting that all councils have experienced reductions in operating and capital grants. And just I note that our own source income is declining and our liquidity is a problem. Are we in the same place as other councils? Are other councils experiencing the same problems from your experience with your auditing function?
Yeah, I think we're definitely seeing that across the board, and I think there's certainly been some significant fluctuations in profitability given timing of grant funding and the expenditure of those funds as well. So, which it's not just unique to Oberon. We're definitely seeing it across the board.
So, second question: with I think there's been the government has come out with a plan for FAGS funding. I think it's going to be provided quarterly. Matt, correct me if I'm wrong. Will that create some more certainty in relation to liquidity? Obviously, it won't resolve the issue.
Yeah, I think definitely that will. Yeah, the timing of that. As I mentioned in my presentation, the percentage of next year's funding that you're receiving this year, because of the funding agreements, it's recognised at the time that you receive it, and so therefore receiving that funding more regularly will certainly take out those fluctuations from year to year just based on the timing of receipt.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions? If not, I thank you very much for your presentation. I will be asking, following confirmation of minutes, that and after the Merrill minute, that item 14.9, if councillors are happy to bring that forward, because I imagine you'll be holding on for that item. Okay. We go to 7, questions from the public. Public area is open to members of the community. Community is given the opportunity to ask questions at the commencement of the council meeting. Members of the public wishing to address council are permitted to do so, providing the following guidelines are adhered to. 1, person asking a question at the council meeting must clearly state their name and in what capacity they are acting. 2, the person asking the question is acting as another person or organisation's agent. They must advise council if they have their prior consent authority. 3, there's a time frame per speaker of 3 minutes, and that is allocated. So please observe that. Question from the public is not an opportunity for debate with elected representatives or staff. It is an opportunity for the community to ask a question in relation to an issue or put a point of view relating to an issue that may be causing interest or concern. All questions and comments must be directed through me as the mayor, and in instance of a question, if it cannot be answered, it will be taken on notice and a response given within a reasonable period, or an answer will be provided to the next available council meeting. It's the only opportunity for a community member to address council during an ordinary meeting. Are there any questions from the public, please?
I'm Miles Gibbons. I wish to seek clarification on 14.11 developer engagement section 355 committees. As a Black Springs resident and a ratepayer, a member of the Community Association and the 3554 committee, I'm keen to see the master plan that has been approved by council actioned. To this end, the Black Springs Community Association is seeking grant funding in consultation with corporate services from various organisations to address some of the cost of the project, saving council time and money. As far as I'm aware, all procedures have been followed, so I don't understand why this is a problem for the 355 committees. The Community Association is just trying to get started on this project. We don't want to sit on our hands and hope that the master plan happens by osmosis. The way I see it, we are a democratic society. Therefore, the Black Springs Community Association should be able to access grants from any developer that becomes available to enable action on the master plan. I don't believe that council should discriminate against any particular developer, and we can't afford to look a gift horse in a mouth. My question to council is, are you going to support the Black Springs Community Association's endeavours to action the master plan, or hoodwink us?
Thank you, Loves.
Thank you.
If you've got a copy of that, maybe you could give it to Sharon. Are there any other questions from the public? Michelle?
Yeah, Michelle Swan, concerning grandmother. Not sure if this is the right platform, but I'd like to ask a few questions regarding a claim of my granddaughter being injured. The insurance company is basically saying that under section 45 of the CLA, then council is not liable. Now, I understand that. However, the topic of the condition of the pathway has been raised multiple times over the recent years, and also is addressed in the newly adopted master plan. Items identified in the master plan: enclose or bury the end of a culvert pipe for child safety, tying it in a drainage pipe, taking water away from the oval. The area from the existing culvert opening around to the other side of the vehicle access into the recreation ground to the west is to have buried drainage pipe at the bank, which is part of the trotting track, level to create better slopes for basketball, netball court, car park access and a bench playground. Also, when the concrete pathways were installed throughout the village, the path in mention was earmarked as part of the next stage of the footpath project. This was never completed. I put it to you that council did have knowledge and that the entire pathway and drainage system is in need of repair and replacement. All that's been asked for is a replacement of a child's glasses, so she can see clearly. Irrelevant of CLA, I feel this outcome is morally wrong, and I'll be encouraging everyone in the LGA to make use of the Snap Send Solve platform to point out every hazard so there is clear documentation of every little thing. So the council has knowledge of everything and they can then act on those, so to prevent other kids being hurt.
Thank you, Michelle. If you could
Thank you.
hand all that information to Sharon. Are there any other questions, please? There are no other questions for the public. I'll go to item 8, confirmation of minutes. Recommendation is the minutes of the ordinary meeting held on the 21st of October 2025 be confirmed. Can I move it, please? Councillor Hayden, seconder. Councillor Leveris. Any discussion, Councillor Hayden? Councillor Leveris?
Nothing further to add, thank you.
I put the motion as per the recommendation. All in favour? Carried unanimously. Move to item 9, Merrill Minute and Report. Recommendations report item 9.01 is received information. I'll move it as a motion. Seconder, Councillor O'Connor. I think it speaks for itself. Most happy to answer any question.
Thank you. Yeah, nothing further on.
Councillor Hayden, yes.
Yes, I just wanted to get a bit of clarity on 3 items. The first one is meetings, 3rd of November with Jenny Aitchison. And the other 2 are 25th of October with Kaz Coleman and 28th of October, Premier's Department.
Okay, I'll deal with the first one first. The meeting with Jenny Aitchison, I did actually report in the Village Voice, that I think that's out, but involved basically 2 items: Jenolan Caves and access with the gondolas. And now that the report, the state government and the Jenolan Caves Trust report come out with a recommendation in relation to gondolas. I spoke to the minister and said, I've noted that there's an interdepartmental group that has been established, and I commended the minister on the interdepartmental group to look at the recommendations and to come back to the minister. I asked her when a likely decision was being made, noting that the gondolas will add an additional tourist attraction and would increase the numbers through the caves, providing more revenue for the government and to our tourist operators in that area and to Oberon. And also suggesting that obviously Oberon would like to work in partnership with the government in respect to transport options to the new car park, which will have to be established at the top of the gondolas. And asking that obviously a decision sooner would be greatly appreciated, and appreciating the issues with ever restoring the 5 mile road. So that was basically that part.
Thank you.
Second part was the O'Connell footpath, and indicating the issues we've been having, the cell phone, the general manager, indicating the issues we've had with the Transport for New South Wales, suggesting we needed a 2.5 metre footpath when we already had a 900 millimetre one from basically the cafe to Beaconsfield Road, and there was some inconsistency there. Discussing about the possibility, the width problem. Holly Davis was there from Transport New South Wales. And that was a very positive meeting because there was also suggestions of access to Hassel Park. So we've gone away with a task to look at some options, and I think it's constructive and that there may be a way forward, but I can't predict anything at this stage.
Mm-hmm.
So both very positive. there was a third thing we mentioned, General Manager, you might be able to. Oh, the Abercrombie Road and the issues with slippage and the slippages we had on the Oberon side. We also said that it was a pity that Upper Lachlan weren't widening the road on the other side, but that was a matter not for us. But we did talk about the slip at the top, and we're talking about disaster relief funding, etc., that may be able to assist us with that. So they were the three major issues. Correct me if General Manager has anything. And I think I'd have to say it was the most positive discussion. Yeah, very positive, I'd have to say.
Okay.
And I think the Minister appreciated the chat, but also in the way we conducted it. Sorry, the second one?
Sorry, just,
The 25th
the
of October.
response to the 25th of October.
Is that the Mayor Kaz Coleman second update?
Yeah.
So I advised Mayor Kasman, which is all the information that generally available to councils, that we made a decision under the Roads Act in respect to the Paling Yards wind farm. We had put in the motion for the local government conference that we're all aware of.
Yeah.
And I've had further discussions with Mayor Coleman and said, you know, you have an approval basis in respect to the two at Hampton and the replacement ones at Hampton. And we're concerned because, and as the General Manager has also discussed with you, that you don't set a precedent with those two wind farms, or wind towers, sorry, that may impact on Oberon, Bathurst and other councils. She's made aware of that, and I think we've got a meeting coming up to discuss issues on that, and I can't recall the date. I'm sorry, Councillor Hayden. But that's, sorry, 3rd of December, I've just been reminded. So that was the gist. She asked what we were doing. I think she sees us as being a bit of a leading light in this area, so we're helping where we can.
Yeah. And the other one was just the 28th of October. Just wanted to know a bit more about these cool spaces guidelines. Cool spaces, not spaces.
Sorry?
We'll send a copy.
We'll send a copy of the letter. I can't actually. Yeah,
Okay.
that's fine.
Thank you.
Any other?
Three months.
Sorry?
There was any other, I said that's 3 points.
No. Any other councillors have any questions? All right, if not, I put the motion as per the recommendation. All in favour? I'd now ask council if someone could move that 14.9 maybe dealt with first, so that we don't no longer have the auditor online. Thank you, Councillor Hayden. Second, please. Councillor Everest, thank you. All in favour? We move 14.9. Thank you. So we'll go to 14.9. The audited financial statements for the year 24-25. Recommendation report item 14.9 is received as information. Can we move it, please? Hayden, Councillor McCarthy, thank you. Councillor Hayden.
There's nothing further to go.
Councillor McCarthy.
We've already had the statement.
Right, thank you. Any other discussion on this? Councillor Everest, set your hand up, or are you scratching yourself? Sorry. You did this, yes. Okay. If not, then the motion as per the recommendation, all in favour? Carried unanimously. Thank you very much, Jody, for your attendance.
You know, it's not up there.
You can bring that in. I now ask if someone, we might, so that we can reduce staff time, I'd ask that 13.1 be brought forward. Can I remove it, please?
What's 13.1?
It's the QBRS.
No. I don't want to bring it.
Yep, move it, Deputy Mayor, seconder. Okay, I was going to bring 13.1 forward, which is the QBRS for discussion, so that we don't have to keep our financial.
Yeah, so we have a mover and you have to second it.
I am.
Or I'll second it.
Councillor Tucker. Discussion. Councillor Hayden, you.
Yeah, I just don't want to bring it forward because I wanted to just run with what's going on as my notes are. That's it.
All right, well, I put the motion that 13.1 be brought forward. All in favour? So it's split. Oh, five. Oh, six, okay, thank you. Councillor Hayden, Councillor O'Connor against, is that correct? Yep, no. Okay, we go to 13.1. The recommendation, the council, one, endorses the following operational plan budget adjustments. A, inclusion of carried forward capital items, Roman 1, Oberon Sports Complex, council co-contribution. Roman 2, Oberon Sports Complex, LRCI round 4 grant funded items. Roman 3, Oberon Waste Depot weighbridge and software finalisation. Roman 4, O'Connell shared pathway construction. Roman 5, industrial land division, subdivision. B, Regional Emergency Road Repair Fund, RERRF, project adjustments, and C, natural disaster, AGRN 1119, project funding. And 2, authorise the general manager to make minor administrative changes as required. Can I have a motion, please? Thank you. Councillor Graham, seconder. Councillor O'Connor, thank you. Councillor Graham.
All written there, I don't have anything further to add.
Thank you. Councillor O'Connor.
Thanks, Mr Mayor. I've got a few questions and I do apologise. It's just when you get the reports on Friday, you really haven't got time to shoot off any questions on that, but I think they're important. So a couple of questions, and forgive me for if they're a bit silly, Matt, but hopefully they're not. So the first one is in the consolidated, in the budget, the grants, capital grants are 5,478, and the grants in the general fund are for 2,748,000. General fund, just the so grants capital 5, and then in the general fund, yeah. So there's a difference there of 2,750,000. Is there a reason for that, or where?
Yes, through the chair, I might over to Zoe to just talk through the new QBRS format and how those new grants are coming through.
Zoe?
Yep, sorry. Through the chair, I was just pulling up the relevant page. I was a bit slow on the trigger. So with the consolidated report showing the grants and capital contributions, they're listed at the top for the general fund. However, if you look at the pages that represent for the water and sewer, they're actually in a lower section. They're closer to the end of the line. So if you turn to the income and expenditure budget review statement for the sewer fund, you'll note that the grants and capital contributions for the 2.7 million are at the second line from the bottom, which then add into the consolidated income.
All right. Second one is capital expenditure revised budget. So in capital expenditure grant funding, we've got so in that report, capital expenditure revised budget, there's grants of 10,138,000, and then in the grants on the consolidated, again, it's grants operating and grants capital.
So through the chair, in the capital grants and contribution should include bulk of the capital contributions for capital purposes, which should be reflected in the consolidated.
Yeah, so there's $62,000 difference, I think it is, between
Yeah, so some of the capital projects are being utilised through operational funds such as FAGs.
Okay, and then in the STP, in the capital expenditure revised budget, under sewer fund, it's got STP build, and we've got 10,725,000 project cost. got grants of 5.9. And we've got from the fund of 4.7, but the loan's not shown there. Should that be shown under the loan column?
Correct. So when we pulled together the long-term financial plans and the modelling for the STP, indication was that the loan was going to be drawn down in the 26 to 27 financial year, which is what's reflected in the report that you have in front of you.
But we've already got a $3 million loan.
Correct, which was shown to be reflected when it was drawn a couple of years ago. So now the funds are held in the reserves, which will be drawn down with the reserves.
This might also be a question that is easily. So in the budget forecast, it says 300,000 loss. Is that right?
Correct.
That's really, that's right, yeah.
Yeah, 300, 500, but in the report, in the consolidated, it's got a loss of 113,000. Is that?
So through the chair, the loss presented in the paper is the loss as we provide it in the IPNR, which included the funding options.
So why doesn't the operating result mirror the in the report of 300,000 loss? Why is that?
Because of the funding statement provided in the IPNR document shows where council is going to be funding its operations from, which isn't reflected in the income and expenditure statement provided by the OLG.
Okay. Right, thank you. Thank you.
Any other questions? Councillor Evans, yes.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I mean, after email correspondence between Zoe and Matt, I understand the reasons why we use the headline figure of minus, loss of 300,500 after grant funding as it aligns with the operational plan. But I would like to see the net operating result before capital grants, which is the operational income less the operational expenses, including depreciation, because this shows our council's true operating sustainability, which currently sits at around $6.5 million deficit. I mean, grant funding is only tied to specific projects and does not pay wages or services. So I just find the headline figure we use can be a little bit misleading as it masks the general fund deficit. That's just a statement.
So that figure, Zoe, on the consolidated is 5,365,000 loss.
Correct, from a traditional income and expenditure statement side of things.
Yeah, if you're excluding grants.
Capital
Grants,
grants, capital.
That's good. Yes. Through the chair, as Councillor Levis has indicated, we definitely have some, there's a number of metrics that we can use. When we look at the operational plan that was communicated to the community, those metrics are in there, the net operating when we remove capital grants. What we do is we undertake the funding statement component. So that's how we will fund operations through the reserves to get back to a profit and loss after funding, which is the $300,000 deficit. So that's the figure that we have committed to the community that we will look to draw back through efficiencies. But if council, all the metrics such as removing capital will always still be front and centre of any of the financial reporting that we do as well. So, but that's why that 300 was still front and centre, because that's something we have committed to try to bring back after we release the operational plan.
Through you.
Yes.
And I guess that was the point I was making, what Councillor Everest is making. The operating performance ratio is negative 28%, whereas it should be above 0. So it's not sustainable, I guess.
No, through the chair, that there's, we've commented on some of the headwinds that we're definitely facing. That operating performance ratio over the last few years has not tracked particularly great. So it's absolutely an area that we're, aware of, and we'll continue to put those metrics in to support some of the changes the audit office have asked us to do. But yeah, that's a key one that remains front and centre for a performance metric.
And through the chair, it's also important to note that not last year, but the year before, we did receive around $3 million worth of money up front, which was then for projects. And we had to declare all that income 2 years ago. And now council's going through the process of completing those projects and making the expenditure to which we receive that money as well, which does skew the operating performance ratio because it does not have a like income, whilst it did have the income a couple of years ago.
I mean, I think we all appreciate, sorry, Councillor Hayden.
Oh, I just was waiting in case Councillor Leveris was finished, and I just wanted to mention the Weybridge software here that I note under capital items for 64,614. Can councillors get a report down the track at some stage about the total cost of that Weybridge implementation and getting it online?
Was that, I think there'll probably be a report of the Works Working Party, I would
Yeah.
assume. Is that
And
correct?
just-
Yes. That's what I'd assume, sorry, yeah.
I just also want to say, I'm not happy with our financial direction. I have huge concerns about our financial sustainability as a council. I do understand that we're grant poor at the moment, but we're going to have to be much more careful with our finances because we've got a limited amount in our general fund and we can't keep sucking money out of reserves. Thank you.
Absolutely, Councillor Hayden, and you'll recall that one of the objectives for the General Manager for this year is to look at where we can possibly make savings and look at the financial strictures under which we're operating. Councillor McCarthy, you got something to say?
Just listening to some rubbish that's going on. Thank you.
Any other discussion on this matter, which, as council pointed out, is crucial for our future, so we need to be well aware of where we're tracking and how we're tracking.
Prosecute, through the chair, you know, that way I'll explain that.
Councillor.
Just so I understand what you meant.
Councillor
I'm
McCarthy.
just looking at the practical side, and I just see a road that usually takes 2 days to grade. Just took 6 working days. So our staff wasn't there all the time, to their credit. They've done a good job, but what I'm saying is it used to take the other operators, and if we're looking for efficiencies, it's the wrong place to discuss
All
it.
right, I suggest if that sorts of issues might be more appropriate in the Works Working Party.
Yeah, and
in the next week or so.
with the software item in the waste depot, there's a report coming back, because I thought Councillor Trimbath and I both agreed that we should buy the software off the person, but supplying the Weybridge, but I thought it was only about $12,000. But there might be more cost in it than that.
Okay, well, I think we'll get a full report on the Works Working Party.
That's fine.
And I think the Technical Services Director has said to me, when I asked, said, yes, we're going to do that. So I think we can evaluate that there,
Yep.
understand the point, and I'll certainly will. Yeah, it is. I don't think it's just the software. It does say Weybridge and software. So let's have a look at the Works Working. You're looking at me, Councillor Leveris, so you got something else to say? I'll allow you. Sorry?
More goodness than that.
Okay, if there's no further discussion, I will put the motion as per the recommendation. All in favour? Carried unanimously. Thank you. Thank you very much, Zoe. And we'll go back to item 10. Notices of motion.
I've got some changes to that motion that I'll send through to Sharon. They're just brief changes.
Okay, councillor Hayden. Where are the changes? I don't have them. So
They're just in part one. As soon as Sharon brings them up, I'll quickly read it out what it is. Sorry. You'd have it ready until you. So part one, that council establish a standing community Q&A councillor workshop to be held once per month, 2 weeks after each ordinary meeting, blah, blah, blah. And the addition is commencing from February 2026 and operating in accordance with the council's adopted code of meeting practice. And there was a change in point 3 under part A. The community Q&A walk-in on general community matters with community questions to be submitted at least 24 hours prior, where possible to allow factual information to be provided in the response. And I removed point 4 part C.
So with the motion that council 1 establish a standing community Q&A and council workshop to be held once per month, 2 weeks after each ordinary meeting, bracket ordinary 2 weeks before the next meeting, bracket, commencing from February 2023 and adopt to 2026, sorry, and adopting council's meeting practice or meeting procedures.
It says, and commencing from February 2026 and operating in accordance with council's adopted code of meeting practice.
2, confirm the session is open to the public, live streamed and recorded, that no decisions or votes are made. 3, define the session structure as 2 parts. Part A, community Q&A walk-in on general community matters with community questions to be submitted at least 24 hours prior where possible to allow factual information to be provided in response. Part B, council workshop for councillors to raise general business not on any current or intended agenda. 4, direct the general manager to A, publish a light session notice at least 3 business days prior, showing date, start time, venue and 2-part format. B, maintain and publish a brief notes and action register, topics / actions only. 5, note this arrangement replaces informal briefing sessions and expressly excludes discussion, debate and caucusing on any item listed for a council committee agenda or being prepared for the next agenda. That's your motion.
That's my
Councillor, do you have a
motion.
second? Councillor Leveris, Councillor Hayden.
Okay, just around this motion, going forward, like what happened recently last week, the general manager advised when we're having a briefing session, councillors were going to be away. There was things on in Sydney, so we didn't have one. The briefing session, how this council uses it, is never to deeply discuss anything on agendas. It's basically bringing general business that community members often raise with councillors, and it's an opportunity whereby we get to discuss what the community are giving us. I just thought by doing so, putting this motion forward, it gives us that opportunity to have that space, and it would also give the community that space whereby when we get to the new model code of meeting practice and adopt that, we're not going to have the community space where members can get up and discuss anything with council. Their discussion will have to be, even in the public forum, will have to be what is on the agenda. So if we go into this public forum, how we're going to have that moving forward, it has to be based on the agenda. So by putting this forward, I'm just trying to open up an avenue where we still get to bring stuff forward and the community get to raise any issue they wish. If they want a definitive answer at that specific meeting, they lodge their question 24 hours prior and get an answer on the day. Thank you.
Councillor Evans.
There's nothing much more for me to add. I agree with it. I think it, with the new, meeting practice, code of meeting practice, it limits the, the community just to those agenda items. And I think there's a lot more out there that can be discussed. So I do agree with this.
Any other council discussion? Councillor O'Connor?
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Thanks, Councillor Hayden, for your report, or your notice of motion. I understand where it's coming from. I think when I was reading this, I thought, the councillors who've been councillors for a number of terms, they get comfortable with the past system. However, what's proposed here, what's been put forward by the minister, is significant change, probably the biggest change for 20, 30 years. And there's a reason for that. It's significant reform. It is trying to achieve transparency, openness, accountability with dignity in the council debate. At the heart of it, the council meeting that we're here tonight is the heart of the process. Community needs to see the decisions being made in this meeting, not in a meeting that's not live streamed and that is private.
It will be.
Councillor Hayden.
Excuse me.
Councillor O'Connor is talking.
So, it is a change, but it is a change that is significant and hasn't been taken lightly by the minister. As a new councillor, I understand, and I think it's a great move forward. So I can only recommend what we've put forward and I won't be recommending or voting in favour of this motion. Thank you.
Any discussion? I'll make a couple of observations. The first is that the public forum situation, even though we have sought clarification from the Office of Local Government, from a meeting held in the joint organisation last week, there is still some, I'd say, incongruous thoughts across council and across the Office of Local Government itself as to what if a public forum is compulsory and the actual content of that public forum. I suppose what also concerns me, and I'm hoping that will be clarified before the new code of meeting practice is implemented from 1st of January. I also note, it says that we will discuss or not discuss things that are not going to come up on a council or committee agenda. But a meeting may occur where people have no idea what's going to come up in 4 meetings' time, and suddenly you discuss something that comes up in 4 meetings' time, and we'll be breaching the code of meeting practice. Whilst I have some sympathy for what Councillor Hayden is trying to achieve, I wonder if it would be more appropriate to defer this item till after we get some further clarification from the Office of Local Government in relation to the public forums. And I do appreciate what Councillor Hayden said, is that public forums are only meant to address items that are on the agenda. However, from our meetings at the joint organisation, it is still clear that councils are still, this is causing quite a bit of angst among councils. So it's very fluid, if I can put that at the moment. And as I said, I don't think the Office of Local Government is consistent completely between personnel as to what they want. I do understand what Councillor Hayden is trying to do in allowing community in particular to be able to raise grievances, whether it's issues with infrastructure or, potholes or problems with roads, etc. But I think we should defer this till after we've seen the final code of meeting practice and had some further clarification from the Office of Local Government. In particular, also the other issue that was raised is what, still this issue is primary, what are informal briefing sessions / workshops. what's permissible, what's not, who can attend, who can't, because that's still not consistent across Office of Local Government personnel. Yes, that's right.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I prefer to defer it. The first point says that we're going to start in February and operate in accordance with the council's adopted code of meeting practice. If we haven't adopted it yet, I think this is too early.
Still on public exhibition.
Right, Brian?
Just wait to see if anyone wants to speak.
Like, on supporting councillor Hayden's thing, I think she's been proactive. The government's the problem. They should have released the guidelines when they wanted to change things. So this is just an avenue of, every time we say we're going out the community, we go out quarterly and half yearly and think the other thing's going to restrict that, isn't it?
I put them up, sorry, I would be seeking an amendment that we
No,
defer this until February 2026, once we have our adopted code of
I
meeting
don't
practice
accept
and
that.
further guidelines from the
I
government.
don't accept that.
That's fine. I'm entitled to put an amendment.
Oh,
Do I have a second?
understand that. It's just, no one's, this has been misunderstood. Been completely misunderstood, this motion.
Okay, do I have a second?
Yeah, I'll second.
Thanks, Councillor Connor. You want to speak?
Yeah.
I've spoken.
I'd just like to speak, thanks, Mr. Mayor, I'd like to speak to that, and I'll just give one example. We're all sort of fumbling with this a little bit, but in my mind, we need to take direction from the minister and the reasons he's doing it. But one simple example, we have one of these meetings according to Councillor Hayden's methodology, and from there, we form a notice of motion, which we then take to the next meeting. It's wrong. It's purely wrong. And that's what will happen. And so we're really flaunting the system. And let's not be sneaky about this. Well, that's a term that's been used before. Let's not be sneaky. Let's look at what has been provided to us and let's try to follow it, because they're wiser people than us, I think. So that's just one example where we'd get caught, we'd be in trouble. And I don't want that to happen. Thank you.
Yes, Councillor Hayden.
Yes, I'll speak against your amendment, Mr. Mayor. I think councillors in the room have misunderstood the motion or have not read it in depth. This was nothing to do with a private meeting. This was going to be video recorded, live streamed and open to the general public. This was nothing behind closed doors. It was nothing like an informal briefing session. It was going to be a fully recorded forum whereby the members of the public could discuss anything they wanted to, and councillors used it as an avenue to discuss general business. That everyone has misunderstood what was in that. Yours, Mr. Mayor, will not, this deferring or until the new code of meeting practice. By doing this, I am basically supporting the code of meeting practice, that this would have came into effect in February after we've adopted the code of meeting practice, which becomes our code from the 4th of December, should there be no submissions. So what I have written here is giving this council a way to have discussions, giving the public a forum to open air what they need to, submit their question if they want the answer the next day, or stand up and ask their question and take it on notice. But that's the problem that we've got now. We've got a situation where people aren't reading in depth and understanding what I was putting forward. What I put forward supported the new code of meeting practice. By deferring it, all we're doing is delaying, and every time this happens, there is a delay and no one discusses it. And once again, councillors will not be able to have anywhere where we can bring things from the community to council. We're shut down every time.
Thank you, Councillor Hayden. Any other discussion? Rod replied, this is an amendment to defer the decision. I understand Councillor Hayden is saying, but For instance, if you look at 3B, Part B, council or workshops for councils to raise business not on any current or intended agenda.
Yeah.
How can I guarantee that something that's on an agenda will not become an issue at a council meeting in 4 meetings ahead? I can't. Therefore, we immediately breached the code of meeting practice. No, I'm in my reply and you cannot. So there is the Office of Local Government is to still produce, is going to produce some guidelines in relation to public forums. And that's why I'm asking for deferral, because that will also assist in putting appropriate wording in something like this. So we have those guidelines. So I just don't want to be in breach of the guidelines that they produce. That is why I'm asking for the amendment. And we have to be cognizant of Minister Herding's repeated comments about he wants, as Councillor O'Connor has said, council meetings to be open, not to be predetermined in IBSs or anything else. He wants the issues discussed and debated in an open forum meeting where the public can see us do that. Right, I put the amendment. All in favour? Councillor McKibben, Lee, Graham and O'Connor. Against? Councillor Leveris, Hayden, McCarthy and Tucker. The Mayor has a casting vote.
Oh, of course you do.
I will vote for the amendment. My casting vote. The amendment now becomes the motion. All in favour of the motion. Councillor O'Connor, McCarthy, Graham, Lee and McKibben. Thank you. We go to 10.2. Then I note that I think there are a couple of people in the gallery who are here for 1411. So after 10.2, I will ask if council will move 1411 forward. Okay, 10.2, council workshop plant utilisation replacement. The motion is the council host a council workshop to consider the audit report on plant utilisation replacement. Councillor Tucker.
Yes, I'll move that. Thank you.
Seconder. Yep. Councillor Leveris. Councillor Tucker.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Most of my supporting argument is in the papers, but I'll just add a couple of extra points. I do note the General Manager's note at the bottom of that page, and I would say that what I'm proposing does not impinge on AREC's role at all. Their role is oversight. They've organised to get this internal audit done, and all of that is fine. But that council remains the decision makers, and I think it's entirely appropriate that the council should have an opportunity to discuss it, to see what we agree or disagree with, or to whether we support the recommendations and to monitor the implementation of those recommendations. I would say there are some important strategic issues in that audit report that cannot see that they are operational, and so I would say council should be able to discuss it. And it was always intended, is my understanding, that after that audit report was completed and after it went to AREC, that it would then come to council. That was always the understanding, and we're now at that stage, and I have suggested that we do it through a workshop, a councillor workshop, similar to what we've had previously with other topics, such as sometimes with RPNR stuff, or with discussing sale of land for unpaid rates. That remains confidential. Personally, I can't see that report should be confidential, but there was a suggestion that there are some confidential matters in it. So that's why I've suggested a workshop so it can remain confidential. And I just want to stress that we've been talking tonight about how dire some of our long-term financials look. And I think there are some opportunities in the way we manage our plan that we can, not hugely, but we can ease the pressure on our financials, because at the moment I understand that some council puts some extra money into into plant replacement. I've asked several times, I've never been able to find out how much. But if we get it right, the plant replacement can be self-funding from the youth. And that's one of the major outcomes that I would like us to discuss. So that's all my arguments. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I concur with Councillor Tucker's statement and nothing more to add.
That's fine.
Yes, I'm happy to support councillor Tucker's motion. The ARIC doesn't replace the governing body. While ARIC provides independent advice, councillors remain responsible under sections of the Act for council's financial sustainability. Plant utilisation and replacement is one of the largest operational expenditures affecting the long-term financial plan, depreciation and internal charge-out rates. A councillor workshop's entirely appropriate and necessary. The GM's note suggests ARIC is an internal function for staff, but ARIC is established under section 428A to advise and support this governing body. It does not replace it or limit it. Councillors need the opportunity to be briefed, ask questions and understand the audit findings to make informed decisions on future budgets and asset replacement cycles. The workshop strengthens governance and it does not duplicate ARIC's role. ARIC advises us, it does not replace us. We're responsible for the financial decisions on plant utilisation and fully supportive of this. Thank you.
Councillor Taylor, I've just got a couple of questions. Council's responded to the recommendations. Note that. Are you suggesting a council workshop to monitor the implementation of those responses or to evaluate the responses? I'm just, and obviously in future, when council purchases or disposes of supplementary requirements, plant and equipment, they have to still come back to council for approval. And they'll be referencing, I'm assuming in some cases, the recommendations of that report. So,
I'll comment that council's responses to the recommendations are staff responses.
that's right.
And I think we as councillors have the right to review and see if we agree with the recommendations that came out of the audit report and whether we agree with the staff responses. And also, as you say, to then monitor how we're going with implementing those ones that we do decide to implement. I assume that's likely to be all of them, but you never know.
Andrew, Mr. Mayor.
Yes, sorry, councillor.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. Not being as experienced in this area as councillor Tucker, but I find it a matter of oversight and transparency. We have a 32-page audit report that gives recommendations. It goes to ARIC, our committee that oversees that, comes back to us, and reports back to council. I think we're overdoing, and it's not adding to the oversight or transparency. So, thank you.
Any other discussion on this matter?
Question.
Yes, councillor Hayden.
I just want to make councils fully aware, those that are new. It's really important as councillors that this workshop be done. At the end of the day, we councillors have to set the budget that is going to be utilising for this plant utilisation and replacement program. Councillors have to oversee that budget. We need to actually see what has been put forward by the staff, and councillors do have to have oversight. We're the governing body and we can't make proper decisions without proper scrutiny.
All right, councillor Tucker, right on the phone.
No, I'm fine, thank you.
I'll put the motion. All in favour? Councillor O'Connor and Lee against. Thank you. Right. Could I have someone to move 1411 forward, please? Because I think we've got a couple of people in the gallery here for 1411. Councillor Graham. Second, please. Councillor Tucker, thank you. All in favour? Unanimous, thank you. Are you in favour? Yes, good. Against?
Yep.
Who else is against? It's Councillor Hayden. Okay, 1411, if we could go to that, I just trying to assist the gallery.
On sitting in on a meeting.
Sorry? Doesn't matter. Anyway, we'll go. Been moved. We're moving 1411 forward, which is developer engagement, section 355 committees. The recommendation is the report item 1411 is received information. Can I move it, please? I'll move it. Second up. Councillor O'Connor, thank you. I move this, the motion as per the recommendation, but I do have some questions on this. In particular, paragraph 1, 2, 3, 4 on page 80, and I'll ask the director to address that, but I'll hear from the second first, which way he does. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. The comments with this is that it's a matter of development contributions, transparency, correctness, and the fact that there can be influence. So that we have to have a system where developers can't be seen as whether they're a small or large developer influencing the decisions of committees who receive those developer contributions. And I think we do need some rules. I think this sets it out fairly clearly. It doesn't, if you look at some of the examples that where large developers can contribute, it's where there's a system in place where they can't have influence. That's what we're trying to achieve here. So, I'll leave it at that. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks. Can I ask the Director of Corporate Services, please? The governance and Crown land considerations on which is under the heading on the second page of this report. Could someone? So, is this report stating that where upgrades and maintenance occur on Crown land that are going to be supported by developer contributions or developer donations, that we have to get consent from the New South Wales Department of Planning and Environment? Is that what's being said?
I know through the chair, in the background of assessing all of the components of this, there was the Crown land plays a role, particularly in the assets, the use of the Black Springs Hall that we're discussing now. So it was an area that also needs to be considered around how Crown view developments and funding arrangements. So it's something that council and community need to consider, that Crown play a role in some of these assets that were maybe subject to some of the discussions that we're having under this 355 committee engagement.
So let me get this straight. So let's look at a couple of examples. We talked about the Black Springs Hall. Talk about the Black Springs Reserve.
Yep.
And let's say a renewables company offers to provide or has a grant system, and a grant is applied for and is successful for something that is on the master plan for Black Springs. Or even before the grant application is put in, you're saying that we have to get Crown lands consent to having private developer contribution to upgrade the hall or the reserve?
No, I'm not. I'm not saying that through the chair, if the report's indicating that.
How I read paragraph 4.
Indicating that in the landscape of how a 355 committee may interact with community associations, community assets, the Crown, in my research, obviously does play a role, that there are certain plans of management that need to be considered. It's another consideration piece as to how council may wish to take a direction or move this next process forward as to the landscape that a normal 355 committee may be confronted with in the tasks they have.
I mean, we have a range of organisations that provide funding to our community organisations, and the funds obtained can be on community assets, they can be on council assets, they can be on Crown lands, and those range from telcos to renewables companies to banks to all sorts of organisations. So how do you foresee appropriate guidelines being put in place for our 355 committees to deal with this?
Through the chair, that was one of the areas that I've outlined, that it's difficult to do that in that external interest. I've highlighted that traditional developers, come and change and go depending on the different types of initiatives. So through the report, I've highlighted that it's very difficult to dissect. It's difficult to dissect how people are raising funds through individuals raising funds for committees. So I'm highlighting to council the complexity in trying to develop a process that will provide that safeguard. And ultimately, the 355s are a committee of council. So council needs to make the direction, in my opinion, as to where the stance is, not through before a 355 know where they stand. But it is very difficult to highlight, draw a process, and seemingly not a lot of neighbouring councils have done that either. So
Well, that was my next question.
yeah, that it's not.
What have other councils done? But we don't have any example.
Through the chair, Mr. Mayor, just to put some context around what Matt's trying to say, I believe in this instance is that Matt's trying to indicate here that in some instances, there's areas where the Crown will need to sign off on an application for certain types of development, depending on what the funding arrangement is. It doesn't preclude an agency from seeking grant funding, but where a consent's required or where certain development requires the landowner's consent, in this instance, sometimes the Crown, that adds a complexity to the process. So it's not trying to refer to how someone can go after grant funding. What it says, it adds complexity when the grants are given funding, and an additional thing needs to happen, like a development consent, or where landowners need to sign off on those types of things.
And that's going to create another layer for our community groups and groups seeking funding.
Yeah.
And from what I read, this, it's a little uncertain as to when that consent from Crown will be required and when not. And they probably don't know themselves, so we'll have to get clarification from them.
And through the chair, this report is obviously there's Black Springs Hall is one element, but it's us across the broad array of things that may come through the community.
Absolutely.
So it's trying to dissect.
Also,
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm going to be very careful how I word my statement. Of those that I shall not talk about, of the potential project that I shall not talk about, and developers that are of a particular class. This came about in a discriminatory manner targeting,
Why discriminatory?
targeting.
Point of order, discriminatory? In what way are you alleging discrimination?
Discriminatory to a particular branch of developer. A particular type of developer, as in when it was first put forward by councillor Trembeth. And I don't want to go in and mention it because I don't want any angst. I just want to say that this has come about, the report's there. The Department of Planning, Housing and Infrastructure have a set of benefit sharing guidelines that they've put forward in November 2024 that state how developers should work with community and how they should work with councils. Just looking in here about 355 committees, it's not just about 355 committees and it's not just about community associations or anything. It's about one set of developers being, having something drawn up and targeting that one specific group of developers from being able to have funds available that someone may apply for to place something on council land or council premises.
We
And
apply
that's,
equally to telcos.
but that, Mr. Mayor, sorry, that is how this has come about. And to try to limit any kind of grant application by anybody in the community or any group in the community that can benefit getting infrastructure or equipment or anything into a public facility, it's just not sensible. Grant funds are limited everywhere, and we shouldn't say that one specific class of developer is different to another specific class of developer. Everyone of them are developers of some degree. So we shouldn't be even contemplating trying to make changes that groups of people can't then apply for funding that then benefits the broader community on a council-owned or a Crown-owned facility or land. This is where I'm trying to explain this. And at the end of the day, we have a government that tells the community, tells the developers and tells councils that they want benefit sharing to be occurring regardless. So a developer's out there offering money, you would be a fool not to apply for it. It's something that should not be limited, especially if those categories of developers are nothing to do with an approval process that comes through our council. So I'm pleased that Matt's got that in there. That would have been hard to put into those words because it's hard to actually explain to people that you can't do this. You just can't turn around and discount any class of developer like that from being able to have money available that people can apply for to better anything. Sorry. Thank you.
Councillor Graham.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I think the most important part of the report is in the strategic considerations right near the end. And that's what we should be addressing in terms of developing a policy or checklist to look at funding offers that are linked to outside organisations. That's a really important sort of thing for us to put together, I think, and having a look at the charters of those committees and making sure, considering mechanisms for transparency and disclosure. I think those things that you've recommended there are something that we should be looking at.
Yeah. Councillor O'Connell.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Councillor Graham. That very well sums up the importance of this notice. Sorry, not this motion, this developer engagement section 355 committee. I think we really have to focus on that to ensure we get the best outcome. Thank you.
Can I make a comment through the
Yes.
chair, please?
Yes, well.
Just a right reply from this. I know it all started from Black Springs. On the 10th, on last Monday, I did attend a seminar, local environment and planning assessment, a training morning, run by the local government of New South Wales planning, and they had an agreement review policy, right? It was the first topic. Developers cannot be seen to be buying approval on council land, whether it's a council building or whatever. This is from the local government of New South Wales. I don't have you can look up that thing, but that's a planning, a policy agreement, agreement review policy from the New South Wales government, and the guy stipulated that council cannot be seen to be taking any money or community. Well, I'm not saying anyone, because it is council, cannot be seen to be taking anyone. Now, it doesn't matter. Well, I know what you're referring to. It doesn't matter who it is. What developer wants to go out there or here or there. Council cannot be seen to be buying approval. And I think just to add that, that's why we've got to write all our stuff down. That we're from here, we're not being prejudiced by any group. So I'm just repeating that again. So it's on councils can't be seen to be buying approvals, but someone buying approvals from council there. So, and it's New South Wales government portal, planning and assessment training. Thank you.
Thank you. Right reply. Well, I think the issue here is. Sorry, Ian? No, Councillor Taggart? Sorry, I didn't see your hand up. Sorry.
I was only going to make a very brief comment that from the Councillor Trembath's original notice of motion, just a report on how Section 355 communities engage with developers. It sounds really easy, but it ain't.
No.
There are some major complexities, and it might be 2.5 pages, but it probably took 2.5 days to write and investigate, I imagine. So I just wanted to compliment that on getting into the heart of the legal and practical difficulties with that topic. And I also agree with Councillor Graham and Councillor O'Connor that it really comes down to those strategic considerations at the end, and that's what we need to move on to. Thank you.
Can I have a right reply to that?
No.
Okay. It's
You
there
can
on
lose
paper.
anything.
Oh, well, can I
You
just,
have to
can I
move something
make a comment, please?
Allowed to make a comment.
Thank you. I'll repeat it, what I said. New South Wales planning assessment, it's on their thing. Councils cannot be seen to be associated with developers. So sorry if I don't get the jargon right, but that's their jargon, not mine, okay? Thank you.
Right
Thank
reply.
you, Mr. Lee.
So we don't want to preclude community associations obtaining relevant funding for upgrades to infrastructure or, in fact, for infrastructure. But as the issue has been raised, I think we have no alternative but to follow the strategic considerations and look into this, and if necessary, seek direction from both the New South Wales Department of Planning and also the local government if you have to, and to move that way. If it requires an additional factor in some of the grant applications, we're going to have to try and make that as seamless as possible. So maybe we could get, and in looking at the strategic considerations, I think we should be seeking to get some generic advice from those organisations and whoever else we need to. So on the basis of that, I'm happy to move the motion. Second, all in favour?
It's only for information, isn't it?
Yes, it's for information. So everyone for it except Councillor Leverson. Oh, you're for it?
Yeah.
Everyone for it except for Councillor Hayden.
I already put my hand up.
I should for it too. Okay.
It's only a report. I'm sitting there going like this and flicking pages.
All right, so passed unanimously. I do apologise, councillor Hayden. I didn't see you when you were, I didn't know whether you were scratching your head or not. All right.
Much.
We go back to, oh, sorry, we've been all over the place tonight. I thank those members of the gallery for your attendance. Quite welcome to stay. Yes, quite welcome to stay, but I know that several of you who were in relation to 1411. All right, we go to 12. 11, there's no council and delegates report. Go to 12, committee reports, 4.1, Community Services Committee, 16th October 2025. The recommendation is that Council 1 receive a note of minutes to the Community Services Committee held on 16th October 2025 to endorse the revised date for the next Community Services Committee meeting, moving it from 18th of December to 11th of December 2025. Could I have a motion, please? Councillor Graham, seconded Councillor Hayden. Thank you, Councillor Graham.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. The recommendation is pretty straightforward. I'll just make a couple of comments about what happened at the last meeting. There was a presentation from the Live Better Care Gateway, which nobody seems to ever heard of, but it's an organisation that basically supports carers of any age, and they gave a really interesting presentation. Update from the Christmas event working group. You all remember that the Christmas event is on December 21, it's Sunday late afternoon. We'd like to see you all there. I'm sure you'll enjoy it. And the Disability Inclusion Action Plan. And I know the audit's been going, and I think it's finished. Would that be right?
Through the chair, yeah, that's correct. So he's waiting for the Bonnie's report.
Oh, and there was some discussion of the community use of council facilities. There wasn't any exclusion. Yes.
Thank you, Councillor Hayden.
Yes, happy to second the report as councillor Graham has alluded to already. The Live Better Carer Gateway, that was really, really interesting because you hear about carers all the time, but you don't hear about the carers for the carer. And it was really good. And you learn a little bit more about how just people living with normal day-to-day things, like an elderly parent or someone that's hurt themselves, their children are the carer. They need a break too. So that was just a bit of an eye-opener. And the Christmas event working group, I hope everyone does come to that Christmas event on the 21st, and they're colourful dress up because it's going to be a doozy. And yes, so I'm happy to second and make sure, and just to repeat that we're endorsing the revised date from the 18th to the 11th of December. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Hayden. Any other discussion? If not, I put the motion as per the recommendation. All in favour? Carried unanimously. Thank you. We go to 12.2, Black Springs Community Hall Committee meeting, 16th of October 2025. The recommendation is that Council 1 receive and note the minutes of the Black Springs Hall Committee held on 16th October 2025 to endorse the revised date for the next Black Springs Hall Committee meeting, changing it from 18th December to 11th of December 2025. 3, note the committee's request for following upgrades and maintenance items to be considered in future budget review processes. A, roof repair, installation of ceiling bats and problem areas to prevent further damage to the ceiling, estimated at $3,100. B, painting an entrance area to the hall and polishing indoor floors. C, investigation reporting on upgrade options and costs for installing a new environmental friendly septic tank. 4, endorse the following committee recommendations. The Black Springs Hall Committee seeks council's approval and guidance for the installation of a fenced play area at the rear of Black Springs Hall. Have a motion, please. Councillor Hayden, seconder, please. Councillor Lee, thank you.
I'd just like to make another comment.
No, you seconded. You just speak it in a minute. Councillor Hayden.
Yes, I'm happy to move the recommendation to receive the minutes of the Hall Committee. There's just going to be a point down further in the report. I just wanted to note there is a statement. I did highlight it. I'm just trying to find it. I'll come back to that part. I'll send that through to Matt because it's just to clarify that that's not exact. But what was said, it's just a word that's been changed, whether it's typo or something, but I will come back to it. That to endorse the date change, once again, the same as the Community Services Committee from the 18th to the 11th, and to note the committee's request for those following upgrades and maintenance items. With the roof, Part A, there was some leakage and some condensation that was dripping, and the findings from that report and what it's estimated at. Painting to the entrance, Kerry Gibbons had even said he was happy to do that painting. I'd been working on some polishing of the timber floors. That's not requesting council pay for that at all. And just investigating down the track on the upgrade options for a new environmentally friendly septic system. Things are aging, everything's aging, and I think looking at just what can be available down the track might be good. And endorse the Black Springs Hall Committee seeks council approval for the installation of a fenced play area. I think that's one of the important notes in there. If council wishes to have that discussion, that was around fencing a section out the back when there are events on where children can go out and play without running onto the road. So if everyone's aware of that, if they've read the report, that's where that endorsement at number 4 comes from.
So Lee, you've seconded it.
I can't, no, I just want to make a
No,
comment.
you've seconded it. Put your hand up.
I'm not set, no, I was,
You've seconded it. I'm sorry, you've seconded it. You can now ask a question.
I believe I was at that meeting and I'm not noted in the.
Well, you can make that comment. That's a fair enough comment.
Just want to
It
make.
can be noted that Councillor Lee says he was present for the meeting. Any other comments?
Got that in there, where all the, everything started about the donations, that meeting, so.
No, that was the meeting before. This is the second meeting.
You were at that meeting. You were at that meeting. Apologies, we'll have to-
Yeah.
Yep.
Thank you.
Apologies for that. Yeah.
Right. Any other comment to Councillor Lee? She'll second it. No. Councillor Tucker.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm just confused by part 4 of the motion. So I'm after some clarification, and then if necessary, I've got an amendment ready, depending on what the clarification is. So it says Black Springs Hall Committee seeks council's approval and guidance for the installation of a fenced play area. And if that's all they want, some advice or something along those lines, and they're going to go off and do it and fund it, that's fine. But I'm concerned that before that, it says endorse the following committee recommendation. And I'm just wondering whether there might be some misunderstanding going on where everyone suddenly thinks, well, council endorsed it, so they're going to go and do it and they're going to pay for it. And, is there anyone that can explain what that wording, both in the
You
endorse?
attend the meeting.
Yeah.
So maybe I can ask the director about that. And I've got a couple of other questions. So answer Councillor Tucker first.
Through the chair, Councillor Tucker, that there was, at the meeting, there was a lengthy discussion regarding the process involved with what the committee were asking. But ultimately they are seeking council endorsement or approval for the playground, because the committee was of the view that work would be wasted if, when designs were sought, funding was, quotes were gathered, should council not want to approve the broader project. So there was definitely a lengthy discussion on that and the motion that you're seeing there, but that was moved by the committee and put to council. But that's what they are seeking, is a sorts of approval for further investigations to happen based on quotes, designs, those types of things, because the opinion of the committee is that they were not keen to do it the other way around, or could be seen as work wasted on the.
So seeking permission to.
That's right.
That's correct.
So,
Yeah,
that's right. So
well, I'm still just as confused. Are they going to ask council for money to do it? That's the basic question.
through the chair, the other items that have been discussed here have not, there has been no funding source identified at this point in time. The committee wanted the requests to be noted by council because there's varying opinions of upcoming events and maintenance requests that come through that committee meeting. But none of the items that you see there have therefore council to note that a funding source hasn't been provided at this point in time. And at the meeting, we also discussed some of the financial components of the hall and the ongoing revenue and costs associated with that. So that's something that, but those are how the committee wished to put them to council.
So, Director, questions I'm going to ask is, we're still not generating a hell of a lot of revenue out of this hall, are we? And we put quite a lot of money, there's been a lot of money into grants, etc. What sort of revenue are we generating yearly at the moment?
Through the chair, so at that meeting we discussed that. So generally revenue for the year is tallying around $700, $800 a year, and expenses operating and different renewals anywhere between 10 to 15, 20 per year. Committee had a lengthy discussion about that and the value of a community asset and the importance to the area out there. So that is also to be considered, but there was a really open discussion about the realities that the ongoing cost of the hall and the various upgrades that have been undertaken over a long period of time.
So some of these things under 3ABC, can they be funded out of the village fund?
Through the chair, they potentially can be.
Because my concern is we've already talked tonight in great detail about the financial strictures that this council is fine. And talking to that for the auditor, and we're all, as councils, we're very aware of that situation. So, you know, whereas in the past we may have had more grant funding and funding to be made available to organisations, we're going to have to tighten our belt. So my concern is that, you know, Black Springs is given a village fund. And I think some of these things should be funded out of that. Again, there's nothing to suggest for that council is going to fund that the installation of a fenced playing area. But again, I think we should have a determination that, you know, Black Springs is going to fund that itself or seek other funding if council was to approve it in principle. And I'm not sure whether we have to get Land's approval for that building.
I'm sure it's take on notice.
Take that on notice. So I think we can note the issues on 3A, B and C. But again, I'm concerned with our financial strictures, with revenue maybe not having met what we originally anticipated revenue would be generated by this thing. But we have to be careful in, you know, we have to be more restrictive in our allocation of funds across the council area. Councillor Tate.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I haven't quite
sorry.
got my bit, so thank you and thank the director for the explanation. But I don't think I'm any the wiser really. But I agree with you. That's the point of my asking the question, is noting our financial position and noting there's always plenty of ideas of how to spend money and not many ideas of how to save it. And particularly with something like that, where we also got a whole lot of playgrounds that we removed in Oberon, and we would like, if it's possible at some time in the future, to find some money to put those back. So I'm just, if there's an alternative wording that doesn't in any way suggest that council is going to fund it, I don't know if that's what you were sort of leading up to, altering the wording just to make that clear. That
I'm quite happy if you were to put it in.
Permission. That's all they wanted. The wording hasn't come from Black Springs. I suggested, and this is my suggestion.
This councillor Hayden, you responding? I'll ask you to respond now. Thank you.
Sorry.
Yes.
When I put this forward, it's come out the wrong way. people wanted to, do a lot of things and put this in and put that in. I said, you need to ask council if they would give permission for that rather than go out and get all of these quotes and all of these prices. Ask if council and apply for grant funding. Before doing all that and wasting your effort, you need to ask council if they're going to give you permission to do that. That's what this is. So it could just say, seek permission under that part 4. That's what it should say, seek permission from council to before going ahead.
Reminded to say from council and relevant authorities, because we may have to get it.
Well, that's right. I mean, it's something I'm not in favour of, that the other committee are. I am only one vote. But, that's it. And it's not asking council for the funds either, by the way. The Black Springs Community Association have been very diligent in the way that they have contributed towards upgrades on the hall with bathrooms, kitchen, with the screens on the windows. They do what they can. And if the grant's out there, that's what they do. They apply for it to make improvements. So
Councillor Hayden, I note that 3 says, note the committee request
Yep,
and may
just
not be
noting it.
considered in future budget review process.
Yeah.
I'm happy with that because we can consider
Yeah.
it. If you wished, you and Councillor Lee, because he was the seconder, wish to say, committee requests council
permission.
approval and guidance, and any other authorities' approval and guidance for the installation of a fenced area at the rear of Black Springs Hall, to be with funding, the
You don't,
funding source to be
don't
determined
have
in
to
the
worry
future or
about
something.
funding.
Yes, you've got to
an
worry.
amendment.
Sorry?
May I suggest
Yes,
an amendment?
you certainly can.
I'd suggest that number 4 be changed to note that the Black Springs Hall Committee seeks council's permission to investigate the installation of a fenced play area at the rear of Black Springs Hall.
Correct.
Yes, thank you. I'm happy with that. Are you happy with
Yeah.
that? Are you happy with that?
Yes. Yes.
Secretary?
Can I make a comment? It's not basically the rear, it's right around.
No, it's not.
Okay,
Doing the rear.
we just seek permission. So,
Okay.
if we're investigating, and part of that investigation will be go to the committee and say, what do you actually want to do and where do you want to put it? That's part of that investigation. So I think you can still second it, Councillor Lee.
Yes.
All right, do we have any further discussion on this matter? You got that wording, Karen?
Yes.
Oh, sorry. I'll look next time. All right, all in favour? Oh, sorry, Councillor McCarthy, before we vote, sorry.
Just wanted to confirm, there was an approved person that inspected the septic, or was it council or in section B, septic inspection?
Well, look, I'll allow it because it's a good question. Has the old septic, I think, broken down? How do we know it's broken down? Is that what you're saying?
No, I want to know who inspected it.
Yeah, Matthew.
Through the chair, council staff have done the initial inspection based on some feedback that we've received out there, and it's identified some minor maintenance issues and potential long-term things for us to further investigate as to the work of the system. But yeah, there were some immediate maintenance items that were identified that we've tried to action.
Okay, I'm just concerned about the restricted area, and there's in E, 6 dot down, was raised about the electrical installation of the hall. I understand Sparko Electrical upgraded the switchboard to take 3-phase on. Surely goodness, there should be no concerns of safety.
There's no PowerPoints that will accept it, keeps fusing out.
Well, I was here when we give Spark the work, and there was specific PowerPoints were to be installed for the bain marie and other heavy instruments in the kitchen. What happened there?
All right, so I think
He's asking that.
he's asking, yeah, I understand that and
Let him ask him.
I am. Councillor Hayden, you're not running this meeting? Right. Kat, have we made a claim on Sparks for why they installed the powerpoints, et cetera?
Yeah, through the chair, the committee have raised those issues and we're taking that up with Spark to understand what's going on.
Yes.
So it hasn't been resolved yet, but it's action items come from the meeting that we intend to provide at the next meeting, in mid-December. But there is clearly an issue there that, is hampering, events.
Right. Okay. Any further discussion? If not, I put the Councillor Tucker.
That wording is not what I suggested, Mr. Mayor. I'm suggesting that the words endorse the following committee recommendation be removed. And that it simply be that recommendation 4 is note that the Black Springs Law Committee, so the little subparagraph A is removed. And it just becomes note that the Black Springs Law Committee seeks permission, etc. That's it.
You happy with that?
I'm happy with that.
Councillor Hayden, Councillor Lee?
Yeah.
Right. I put the motion. All in favour? Carried unanimously. 13.2 we go to. We've dealt with 13.1. Street line installation, Dart and Fleming Street. Recommendation is that Council 1 endorse the installation of a street light at the corner of Dart and Fleming Street to improve safety and access to the Oberon Library and Community Centre. 2, approve up to $20,000 from the 7-Eleven Community Facilities contributions for lighting upgrades to support increased use and safe entry to Oberon Library and Community Centre. Do we have a motion, please? Councillor Hayden, Councillor Hayden, Councillor Gray. Thank you.
Yes, no, I'm happy to move the recommendation as it stands. I did want to ask if, why 20 grand? Is it usually that? Is it going to be solar light or is it going to be up to the main?
Director?
Through the chair, the indicative quotes that we've received are around that amount. The solar options are around the 10K mark, which I've highlighted in the report, but they have some quality and aesthetic things that council would have to consider. So, but that's what those small improvements are coming back as to cost.
Will there be any section at the rear of the library as well to light that section there as well?
Through the chair, I believe that's already been raised as a maintenance item. So that one's.
Yeah, thank you.
Councillor Gray?
Mr. Mayor, I think it's important that we have the safety issues attended to.
Anyone speaking against it? If not, I put the motion. All in favour? Carried unanimously. Thank you. 13.3, local government filming protocol and fees. The recommendation of the council: 1, note the New South Wales local government filming protocol (June 2025) applies under section 119D of the Local Government Act 1993 and endorse its use as council's guiding framework for managing filming applications. 2, approve the proposed filming related fees and charges outlined below to take effect immediately upon endorsement and be incorporated in council's revenue policy. Can I have a motion, please? Thank you, Councillor Graham. Seconded. Councillor Tucker, is that you, or was that you? Your second?
I'll second it.
Thank you. Councillor Graham.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yes, I'm happy to follow the
Councillor Tucker?
recommendation.
Councillor Tucker.
I'm happy to second it.
My only comment, if I get to ask, is where we've got the words into as outlined below, should we say as outlined in this report rather than below? Be more appropriate in the referencing you. Where are you? We've got a motion that said as outlined below, as outlined in the report. So you're happy with change as outlined below, as outlined in the report?
I'm happy with that change.
Right, anyone speaking against this? So I put the motion. All in favour? Carried unanimously. Thank you. We go to 13.4 annual report 2024-25. The recommendation is Council 1 receive the annual report for the year ended 30th of June 2025.
Slow down.
2, approve the upload of the annual report onto Oberon Council's website by 30th of November 2025. And 3, notify the Office for Local Government that the annual report is on Oberon Council's website and provide a copy of the annual report to the Minister in accordance with section 426(5) of the Local Government Act 1993. Could I have a motion, please? Councillor Graham, seconder, please. Councillor Leverous, thank you. Councillor Graham.
The recommendation is very straightforward. We have to do those things. So, yes, but it was an interesting annual report, so thank you.
So the motion as per the recommendation, thank you. Councillor Leverous.
Nothing more to add.
Any further? Yes, Councillor Hayden.
Yes, I'm a little bit disappointed with the annual report. It's had a lot of work go into it. When you get into it where, the information around councillor training, so on and so forth, we were all told to, do our personal development, send through, any training courses we've done and so on. I've sent other stuff through that hasn't even been placed into the report. So those of us that have been very diligent in doing that, that's missing. I expected to see like a 1 page per councillor type brief. Am I wrong in thinking that? I mean, I remember discussing this couple of years back then. That's what we were going to do. We were going to make sure that anyone that's doing these courses, anything, send it through to Sharon. This is all part of our personal development. And yet we just got a little slide there where a couple of councillors have ticked the box with the training they've done.
General Manager.
Through the chair, this is the similar way that we've done in the last couple of years. So he's done so. If the council want to see something done different to that, I'd suggest that we talk about that moving
But
forward.
I thought we already talked about that, and that's where Sharon said, you need to do your personal development plan. Am I incorrect in saying that? Because I heard it.
And through the chair, councillors will need to develop a professional development plan as we move forward.
Yeah, but we had to be doing that.
Councillor, let General Manager finish.
Through the chair, that is up to councillors to do. At this point in time, there is no mandatory provision around that. We outline it in the annual report as to what each individual councillor has done. If there is things that you provide that haven't been included in the report, please let me know, and I'll look to see whether they can be included prior to sending off to the Office of Life and Government Affairs.
Thank you for the answer. It just, it's just like you sit there and you try to do the best you can to improve your own learning so that you can do the best you can in the governance format. And when you do that stuff and you send it through, you don't see it. It's not there. So I'm just disappointed about that, and I'm not blaming anyone, but that's just how I thought it was going to be structured differently. Thank you.
Okay. Any other discussion on this matter? If not, I put the motion as per the recommendation. All in favour? Carried unanimously. Sorry. We go to 13.4, sewage treatment plant project update. Recommendation, Oberon Council delegate to the General Manager the determination of the review of environmental factors for the sewage treatment plant replacement project. Now move it, please. I move it. Seconder, please. Councillor Graham, thank you.
I have an amendment, Mr. Mayor, when you've spoken.
So council has moved on from the October meeting, and this is now in relation to the determination of the review of the environmental factors for the sewage treatment plant, which is basically an assessment of that by council of its own sewage treatment plant, and it's necessary in the process of moving forward with the construction of this plant. Councillor Graham.
I don't really have anything further to add. It's something that's got to be done.
I'd like to move an amendment.
Yes, councillor.
I haven't sent the amendment through to anybody, but my amendment is that one, that council receive the updated review of the environmental factors and environmental safeguards report for the sewage treatment and replacement program. Two, that community consultation on the REF be undertaken prior to determination in accordance with section 4.11 of the REF. Three, that the completed REF and any submissions be returned to a future extraordinary meeting of the council for determination by council. And four, no delegation be provided to the general manager for REF determination.
A seconder?
I'll see it for discussion.
I'll need to just. Would you like me to email it across or?
No, because I don't have my emails open.
Oh, which one?
Can I just get you to clarify quote one? You spoke very quickly. It's like,
Point one, that council receive the updated review of environmental factors and environmental safeguards report for the sewage treatment plant replacement project.
so, so that didn't quite marry with what you said the first time. The council received an update and the updated review
Environmental factors.
of the REF. Yeah, and next bit, sorry.
Environmental safeguards report for the sewage treatment plant and replacement project.
Point two, that community consultation on the REF be undertaken prior to determination of the REF.
In accordance with section 4.1.1 of the REF.
And three, that the complete REF and any submissions be returned to a future extraordinary meeting of council.
For determination by council.
And four, no delegation be provided to the general manager for REF determination. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay, councillor Hayden?
Yes, reading through this raised a lot of concerns because it noted, I read every page of the REF several times and I spent most of the day just stressing and half of yesterday stressing about different things with this STP. One of the major things with this REF is it's out of date. Things have been done back in, it refers to 2021, and it clearly states that community consultation has not been undertaken during concept development. And it states that consultation will occur closer to the planned date of construction. We're heading up to the end of November and there's been no community consultation on this project anywhere. The community really need to know what's going on. They need to be informed because the way things are going to be progressing, and I'm going to speak in a way that's not going to say anything I shouldn't say, is that the way that this is progressing is they're going to be hit with substantial charges down the track, and many of these people will be impacted financially and it will become unsustainable for them. So we talk about transparency of other specific things, yet there's no transparency around this. And this REF is out of date. In 2021, when that REF was done, there's no discussion of flooding. We had a major flood event in 2022, but yet that's not going to get updated. And if we had a developer come into our council and provide us, like they have with older reports, we request them to go and do a new report because it's out of date. This is out of date. Yeah, I don't know much more I can discuss in here without getting yelled at, I suppose. But I'm not comfortable with this. We're the governing body and we need to have the oversight on this. If we were to give the delegation to the general manager, we don't get to call it back if something's wrong. So this is why I put this forward. I think, we need to be doing our role as a governing body and doing things right, and the community consultation on this hasn't been undertaken.
Absolutely.
Yes, it's an extra step in oversight, so, yes. What I'm saying, what I'm going to say.
Councillor Tucker?
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I think I'm speaking against the amendment. So as I understand it, the document that we've been given, this review of environmental factors from 2021. So that's the original ref from several years ago from the original design. And that is currently being updated and finalised, and that is what we are being asked to provide that delegation, so that as soon as it's received, it can be ticked off and we've satisfied that requirement. Have I got that right so far?
That is absolutely correct.
Thank you. When do we expect to receive that final version? Will it be prior to the end of November? Noting that that's when we have to have all of our precedent conditions completed, and if we're going to sign a contract by the end of November, when do we expect to receive the final ref?
My understanding from Gary is it's imminent.
You don't know how imminent.
I'm more than happy to, he's got his hand up, so he's ready to go. So I'll pass it over to the project engineer dealing with this. Gary
Stiles? Gary?
You're on mute, Gary.
Okay, can you guys hear me now?
Yes, we can.
Thank you.
All right, so I'm expecting the REF by the end of the week, because I didn't quite catch which council it was, but they're completely right that it's needed for our stuff for the INSW and the Section 60 application. And it's also needed in sufficient time to meet that criteria.
Good, thank you, Gary. And also just a further clarification on that point. So it says in the report, the REF is amongst the precedent requirements as mentioned above for the project. So we have to have the final ref. We have to have approved it. Do we then have to submit it to the New South Wales government? Is it one of the documents that has to go to the government for them also to sign off by the end of November?
Yes, that's correct. It's for the Department of Climate Change, Energy, Environment and Water for the Section 60 approval.
All right, so not only does it have to get to us, the GM, if this delegation was approved, the GM would have to sign it off, and then it would have to go to the New South Wales government. They would have to review it and they would have to sign it off as well by the end of November, if I've got that, if I'm understanding correctly.
I think that's pretty right. They'll need it in order to process the Section 60 for an approval under Section 60.
Is this the last document needed for the Section 60?
Yes, all the other documents are in. They were in on the 12th of November, I think.
Through the chair, Gaz, just for confirmation, the REF is a council approval. It's not a state approval. It's just providing that additional document to government to outline the tick in the box for the Section 60. Is that, can
That's
I
right.
just get confirmation on that?
They want to be satisfied that we've undertaken all the necessary approvals for them to do their approval.
Right, but they're, sorry, you go on.
And also the information or the concept REF that council signed off on in 2021 is simply being reviewed to allow for a purpose-built application that was otherwise a concept. Is that not correct?
Yeah, there's very little change between the two documents. With the new design, there's a little bit more information around how we handle stormwater.
Right, well, I can confirm I am speaking against the motion in that case because clearly, the amendment, because clearly that would push it out way past the end of November date and would make it impossible for us to sign off. But again, a further point of clarification, just to make sure I've got it right. So when we have to send it off to New South Wales Government, that is purely for the government to say, yes, we can see that you've got an approved REF. That's their only interest. They don't have to actually review the content of the REF and approve the content of the REF. Have I got that right?
Gary Stiles, is that correct?
They might well read it and offer comment on it, but it's not their approval. They need to be satisfied it's been properly done.
Yeah, okay, thank you. Now, my other question relates to whether, looking into the content of the REF, I haven't read this thoroughly as Councillor Hayden apparently has. But I've concentrated on the environmental safeguards section, and I'm wondering if there are any requirements arising out of the REF which could further delay the start of physical work on the ground. So if we receive the final copy, we signed off, New South Wales Government signs off, yes, you've got an approved REF. And the example that I'm looking at is under Indigenous heritage. There may be others, but this is the one that sprang to my mind. So one of the requirements under Indigenous heritage, and I'm on page 104 of the REF, and it says, the proponent, Oberon Shire Council, must apply for an AHIP prior to commencing works. Once the AHIP application is approved, an attempt to locate and collect the registered AHIM site should be made by a suitably qualified heritage consultant. So if those things have to be done before any physical works can commence on site, that sounds to me like another significant delay to construction. And I'm just asking comments on that.
That's catered for in the early works phase of the contract for construction. Council did what's called an archer as a precaution to identify any potential relics or significant artifacts. And there's a couple of sites that need to be investigated as we excavate. And there's a process to go through under the AHIP process that if you do discover something, your protocols in terms of reporting it and all that sort of stuff. So that's common on most excavation projects. If you discover something, you need to have properly covered off on the AHIP process.
All right, so you don't believe that there's any requirements in the REF that is going to delay the construction works that we haven't allowed for in the construction program?
No. Any project where you're excavating, you could discover something when you start digging. The work we've done is to guide us on where we might find that and what to do if we do discover it, but that could happen on any project that you're doing excavation on. So it's no greater or lesser change arising from the REF.
Right, okay, thank you, and thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Yes, yes, Councillor.
Just, thanks, Mr. Mayor. I'm just putting you, or just giving notice on potentially make an amendment as well after this.
We're foreshadowing an amendment.
I asked a question, just refinancing, just looking at the documents here, is the cubic meters of soil to be removed, is that part of the construction cost?
We're talking about the hour.
I know that, but that's true. Maybe yeah.
We're talking about the review of environmental factors. The actual project was approved subject to precedent, precedent's been satisfied in loan funds at the last meeting. Any other discussion? Like to reply for the amendment, councillor Hayden?
Yes, thank you, Mr Mayor. Sections in the ref since 2021, and Gary Stiles, if he's still there, might be able to answer this, but three threatened species distribution has changed since New South Wales Bionet has recorded numerous new listings and sightings in Oban since then, so is that going to be updated? And
Yes, Gary Stiles, maybe you answer that first.
Sorry, I might have spoke a bit earlier there. Yes, the purpose of doing the review is to go through every bit of it and to update the bits that we need to update. So if there was something that arose through more later data sets, that would be updated in the REF.
and the flooding that occurred in 2022, because in this current ref, it doesn't mention any flooding because this was formulated before the major flooding incident that occurred. Has that been done?
That will be handled slightly differently. The new design doesn't rely on the lagoons that are down on the floodplain there. So it relies on a different process. So the incidence of flooding will actually be reduced very largely by the new design.
Okay, so if I'll just finish on that. There's no sense asking any further questions. So the ref that we were given is not the ref that has been approved, and the recommendation that was put in there was giving delegation solely to the general manager to approve the next ref without coming to the governing body. And that's our role as the governing body, to make approvals, not hand them over to the general manager. And that's why I put this amendment up, because we need to have oversight. If we don't have oversight and there's something in that ref that we haven't looked at, we can't change it later. You can't change it. And under section 411 of that, it states community consultation, but yet we've done no community consultation to date around anything to do with the sewage treatment plant. So that's why I put that up. Anyway, I'll leave it at that. It won't get up, so that's all good.
I put the amendment. All in favour? Councillor Hayden, other councillors against. Oh, sorry, Councillor Lee. So we go back to the original motion. We have a foreshadowed motion.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I might need a little bit of guidance with this. First of all, I was somewhat confused when I read this report. The title is Sewer Treatment Plant Project Update, but it also includes, or does embody, a review of the environmental factors. In the report, it gives some financial details. It also gives progress to the report. So there's more than just review of the environmental factors in my mind. And so given that, I then thought, well, when is the community going to be advised of the project cost, the project borrowings, project timeframe, and the project additional costs down the track? Which to my mind, they haven't been provided at the moment. For transparency and openness, it's the most important thing for our community to understand what has been approved and going forward. And we also need a reference point where we say, this is what we've taken on. This is what we've borrowed. This is what monies we've put in from the council. There's up to this point, I might be wrong. That hasn't been provided to our community. To me, this is, this is critical. Now, I'll just make a few more notes here. Now, there's been a flurry of documents, emails between councillors, between Director of Corporate Services, between the Mayor, which have also been new to me. Okay, so there's information there now to hand that is new to me. There's a scenario 4 budget, which to me is difficult to read. And I'm an accountant. It shouldn't be. It should be made much more simple. If that, just that alone, is that going to be our report that we're going to be using as a reference going forward to see how we're tracking? In one of the documents was saying that there's a recognition that this is very tight and there's a possibility of rate variations and also service delivery reductions.
This is, I don't know if this is justification, but we haven't got the amendment. What are you proposing as the
I'm
amendment?
getting there.
Well, you should put the amendment first, then speak.
I'm trying to say, first and foremost, if this is the update, if this is our sewage treatment plant update, surely it should have full details for the community, because all they're giving is a few little crumbs. Here's how much we're borrowing, which is the 5 million, not 8 million. Here's how much the project's costing without the further construction costs down the track. They need to have the full details in front of them. This is the update. This is going before the community now. It's in the business papers. It's on live stream now. They're not being told what's happening. And in my mind, that we're doing ourselves a great disservice. So whether I use this document to put an amendment in, or maybe that is going to be provided shortly by council, I'm not sure. I've only been on council for a short time, but first question is when is the community going to get the details so that they have a reference point going forward, and also us councillors to have a reference point?
As I understand, the IPNR moving forward dealt with the financing costs and the loan amounts that were required for and that is a public document.
It was never shown as $8 million, the loan borrowed. It's always been sort of, 5. Three. And the cost now has changed. So I just think for community, we need to, if this is the update, we need to include the full picture.
Yes, through the gentleman, yes.
So through the chair, what council will also note is over the last 2 years, the amount of effort we've gone to try and mitigate that delta.
Absolutely.
Council's been made aware of that and made those directions and given staff direction in that regard based on the inability for us to secure the delta.
Absolutely. Look, I understand the background, only being on council for a year, but I'm saying at this point, if this is the update, surely we have to say to the community, here's what we're doing. Total cost, total borrowing, how it's funded.
How you're affected.
So, and we have had meetings, and we had a working party, and we had a October meeting where the modelling was provided, and lengthy discussions on it.
Look, we're poles apart here. I'm just saying for transparency, when is the community going to see, here's the cost, here's the borrowings, and then in this scenario 4 budget, the borrowing is never shown as 8 million. I'm saying, I'm trying to seek some guidance. If next meeting, we're going to have a paper saying it's now approved, here's the full cost, here's the full borrowings. And, if you want a spreadsheet as well, showing how it's going to be paid, fine.
Well, I believe I've indicated in media release 17.1 plus contingencies, 18.1 of borrowings of 8.
It's a media release. I'm talking about this, our business papers.
Right.
I don't know why it's so difficult.
We don't have a motion, no.
Just create.
So your motion is that you want a point 2 in the recommendation.
Yes.
Is it?
Well,
That the full costings of the
and borrowings
costings and STP be put on put on the website.
Can I just in terms of trying, I don't think the councillor's trying to delay this.
No.
What he is trying to do is say that Once council's made that decision, we go and say, this is the decision that council made, here is the impact.
That's right.
And what council will do to try and mitigate that over the life of the loan.
Do you want community
So
consultation?
wait on, councillor Hayden. What I'm saying, what I'm suggesting is a point 2 that says, that council put on the website the costings, including borrowings of the new STP, and with costings, I mean the full amount with a contingency, etc., and set out what that is, construction cost per month, set out what the borrowings are, and say what council has done to mitigate that, i.e. we've reduced the original cost from Bumble.
It's sort of, I'm just saying it could go in this here, 13.5.
Well, that's what we're talking about, is point 2.
And point 2, look.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Put the figures in. We could put the figures in here.
So I'm just trying to work out put a notion up before we have a talk about. Would a point 2 be that a full breakdown of costs be brought back to a future council meeting or to the December meeting outlining?
In a report.
Yeah, in a report, in a report to council.
If that,
You have.
I just, for transparency, I mean, the community needs to have those figures, because otherwise there's rumours, innuendos, figures. And then they understand where we are. So when we're talking to them about we're pulling our belt in, you know, they understand. It has to be transparent, and it's not at the moment.
I have no problem with that, because I have been issuing, talking about. Okay, do you have a second for that?
Can I just
I'll second.
outline it?
So 1 remains as is, and this is point 2.
That a breakdown of the project costs and impacts to the overall community. be
And
provided
of project for the cost, comma, funding sources, does that include loans? Funding sources. And future impacts. to the overall-
Repayments.
Basically like that. And you can have explanatory memorandum saying what we've had to do. But the main thing is that
Be brought back to the December.
they see it.
Yes, no, I have
Because
that
I
right.
can tell you, there's total confusion. Thank you.
We don't have, I don't think we have, anyone has a problem with that, right?
Can you check point 2 on the screen, please?
Could you read point 2 on the screen?
Giant breakdown of costs to this, including borrowings, funding, sources and future impacts may be brought back to a future.
Well, I think borrowings included, I mean, funding sources would include borrowings, but
Funding sources.
if you want to say bracket, including borrowing bracket, but.
Did you take a photo of that?
Is
You're
that
not
legal?
allowed to.
Not allowed to.
Delete it. Delete it, Duncan.
Funding sources. Can we put, or,
Yes, councillor Lee, could you please delete if you're taking photographs that's not permitted? You would have heard what I said at the beginning of the meeting.
Mr. Mayor, well, wait on to that,
Hang on.
councillor O'Connor was trying to get up. Couldn't we just have a box showing
That's right.
the funding
That's right.
as number 2?
That was going to be my amendment. that
We
this-
we already know where it's
That's
coming
right.
from.
We just put that in there.
Yeah.
And then,
that, through the chair, that will be something that we bring back as part of that report. So it's,
Why can't it be added to number 2 here now? We know where the money's coming from,
That's right.
borrowings are coming from.
it's only 5 lines. There's five lines we put in. We put project cost, adding the management and other costs. And then it's coming from the sewer fund, grant funding and loans. So new and existing loans.
so sorry, that was my, if you want to put in a recommendation, what that breakdown of fees is, rather than a separate report back to December, we can stipulate that right now. I thought that based on your conversation, you
No,
wanted
that was going to be my amendment, but you just insert this now, as councillor McCarthy said.
the full breakdown.
But I haven't given it to Sharon earlier, so I was.
So
And
who moved it and seconded it?
No, it's just at the moving stage, we haven't got a second yet.
Seconded.
Yeah, but the original one.
No, we're on an
We're on a
amendment.
second
Councillor
amendment.
McCarthy.
so just for process for a second, councillor McCarthy is correct. You are looking to potentially amend your original, which was moved by the mayor
Yes.
and seconded by councillor Graham. If there's a second point that gets clarification from the mover and the seconder, they can move it without.
That's what I'm getting at. They might allow that information in section 2 to be added to it and
All right, so let's,
So just in terms of trying to formulate a response, the full breakdown of project costs be endorsed, including, can you take out the words and just put including? And then go down to the next line. And then
Right.
point a total cost of project at $18.1 million, including $1 million contingency.
sorry, yeah.
I'm speaking on the fly, Mr. Mayor, so you can.
You're getting too many includings.
Needs to be councillors doing, not the general member.
I'll stop there.
So if you put a total project cost of $18.1 million, broken down as follows: 17.1 construction costs and $1 million contingency, and is the $500,000 in project management costs within the,
Needs to be added on.
it's in addition to the 18.1, isn't it?
Yes.
So you seem to say 18.6 then, is that right?
Yes.
So you've got 18.6 million,
Yep.
consisting of 17.1 construction contract, 1 million contingency and 0.5 project management. You happy with that, Gary Stiles?
I am indeed, yes.
Right. The funding sources,
I don't have it down, Mr. Mayor, sorry, consisting of
17.1 million construction cost, $1 million contingency, 0.5 million project management. Happy with that? Councillor Connor?
Yeah.
Sorry, the funding sources for this project as follows. 0.5 million project management. The source of funding for the project are as follows: sewer fund, 9 million,
6.3.
6.3 million. Restart grant, 4.2 million. Your borrowings, 8 million. What's that come to?
It's probably best to split it because in there's five and three, it's probably best to say existing borrowing
5 million, 3 million commercial loan, 5 million T Corp.
That's right.
You happy with that?
Yes, yes.
So what's that add up to? 6 point, what was it?
It's 6.6 from the sewer fund because they.
6.6, yes.
6.
And 3,
The sewer fund 6.8, 6.6, Sharon.
that's 21.
Wasn't the grant a higher amount and a portion of it got used?
That's only 17.8, isn't
6.6 and 4.2 is 10.8. $8 million is 18.8.
it? Right.
So
18.8,
18.6, so it's 6.4, so
6.4 million to sewer fund.
sorry.
You happy with that, Gary Stiles? Can you see it?
Yes, yes, I can hear it. I can't see it, but yes.
Sorry, where you've got borrowings, it should be either 2 lines or borrowings 8 million, consisting of 3 million commercial loan and 5 million
That's what it says. Borrowings.
total borrowings 8 million. Yeah,
5 million T Corp, total borrowings 8 million.
that's fine. Yep. You happy with that?
Yeah.
As I'm the mover and seconder, you're happy with that, I'm happy with that, we're all happy.
Okay.
Yeah, yes, councillor Hayden?
Yeah. As much as I appreciate that going in there, I'm still not going to support the item. I don't support the sewage treatment plant build in the current format. I don't support putting my community into debt, and I don't support making this council unsustainable financially. And I just want that on the record.
Yep.
Sorry, it's not an amendment.
No, this is not an amendment now. We've agreed to
Andrew.
make this change in point 2.
Andrew?
Councillor Williams.
I think one of the issues I have with this is, T Corp had an initial presentation giving us the approval. They had concerns over whether or not we can actually service this loan. And it wasn't until your subsequent letter, Mr. Mayor, which I understand and appreciate why you did it. And all the commitments you made, that part I wasn't really happy about, because these were basically made without any discussion with us councillors, no debate at all. And I think if we're going to make these sort of commitments where you've got productivity and workforce restructuring changes to rating structures, potential, special rate variations and efficiency targets and foregoing revenue, we should have discussed those. And I understand why you had to make it. It's just that I'm disappointed that we didn't get a chance to discuss this, and I understand the timing factor and all this as well. So yeah,
I think the resolution in October, which is quoted here.
Yeah, but we didn't have the update, the letter for T Corp.
We didn't approve the modelling either.
Authorise the Mayor to respond to T Corp confirming his current commitment to financial sustainability and outlining next steps.
Yeah, but T Corp had concerns whether or not we can service that loan. It wasn't until you made these undertakings that they would approve it. Am I wrong?
I'll ask the director.
Through the chair, the resolution that was made is that council noted the interim feedback that we've received, and some additional steps were provided to you, Mr. Mayor, to respond in the way that you've done.
Through Chair, I don't believe that T Corp would have, well, I can't speak for T Corp, so I'll comment on that.
Councillor Taker.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just a small point on wording of number 2. Does it need the words at the start of number 2? Does it need to say that council notes the full breakdown?
Yep. I'll do that. Councillor Graham. You happy? Jane? Yep. Any further discussion? If not, I put the motion as on your screens. All in favour? All councillors except Councillor Lee and Councillor Hayden. Thank you. We'll move to reports for information. 14.1 monthly activity report, General Manager, November 2000.
Spot for a break.
Can't see what the time is. 8:30.
8:15.
Past.
Oh, I think it should be good because I don't.
I think we can get through in 15 minutes, hopefully. I'll stop at 8:30. Is that all right?
Yeah.
Reports for information, 14.1 monthly activity report, General Manager, November 2025. The recommendation report item 14.1 is received information. Motion, please. Thank you, Councillor Hayden. Second, Councillor McCarthy. Thank you. Councillor Hayden.
Just want to open the papers for the page. Hold on. Yes, thank you. I'm happy to move the report. I did read through the report, but I don't have any answers to my questions that get taken on notice in there. So it's been a few different council meetings and I ask something and you'll say, I'll take that on notice, but you don't get back to me on notice. So.
Can you tell me which one we do? I'm more than happy.
What I'm going to have to do, because I haven't written down all the on notice, that's not my job. I don't get paid for it. So I'm going to have to go.
Yeah, but wait on. So can you provide a copy of the notices, please?
Through the chair, I'm more than happy. I note everything that I either go back or not go back to council was on, and I'll go back through my list.
So can you go through your list that you wrote down, because I didn't write it down. And I don't want to have to watch all the council meetings again to go through what's taken on notice, because it's not my role to do that. Please, thank you. Leave it at that. No sense saying anything.
Second, Councillor McCarthy.
Yeah, it's just one to the general manager. Is the DA been lodged for the occupancy of the new club? I asked them for a bit of latitude soon when they've had the council briefing session. I spoke to Gary about it and
Yeah.
so it's right to go?
Yep, so through the chair, we're looking to run a quick use application through. There is some provisions that I believe that's not required. However, for complete transparency, we're going to run a simple use application through that process. We're just finalising the DA at this point in time.
Okay, so it's not done at the moment?
Not at this point in time.
Okay, all right.
But
Thank
it
you.
does, through the chair, it doesn't preclude the club from undertaking their duties. We've provided some information to them to help them along the way.
So they've got that information they can lodge with that?
They've done that, we've replied, they've lodged.
Okay, thank you.
Councillor Tucker.
Oh. When I spoke to you during the week, last month, you said you were going to bring a report back about the failed part on Lowesmount Road and where the source of funding to repair it. Where are we up to with that?
Through the chair, I'll pass on to the director. There's definitely some information they were seeking in regards to the Lowesmount Road cracking.
Through the chair, we've looked at specialists to provide forensic testing and investigate and report as to why this occurred. So we need to source and look at funding opportunities for that, which I believe is the way forward versus just trying to repair it. If we don't understand why it's failing, I can't see a lot of sense in trying to repair it.
So we
And then
commissioned,
interim to try and not make it.
so I understand that means a geotech investigation, don't we?
There's different speciality people that provide this type of service, which I've got a list of them and their fees. So the current status is to contact them for research scope for quotes.
Okay, now I just thought the understanding was the report was come back from this meeting.
So through the chair, a report will definitely have to come back to council in that regard.
Okay, thank you.
Councillor Tucker.
Well, just one quick question, if I may, Mr. Mayor. A couple of months ago, an IBSO asked about Clark to go in at the common. I think it's for Land Army or something like that. And I was told, yes, it's in, it's installed underneath the seat. Well, it ain't. And I'm just after an update on when it is or what's happening and what when it's likely to be installed.
Give the insight, General Manager, who's that?
I have not replied to that and I'll get back to that in that regard.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. Any other?
It's on the rock next door, not the seat there now.
Any other comments? If not, I put the motion as per the recommendation. All in favour? Carried unanimously. Thank you. Go to 14.2, monthly activity report, planning and development. The recommendations report item 14.2 is received information. Move it, please. Councillor Graham, Councillor McCarthy. Thank you, Councillor Graham.
For the recommendation.
Motion, Councillor McCarthy.
Pretty straightforward.
Any other comments? Not, I put the motion. All in favour? Carried unanimously. We go to 14.3, which is monthly activity report, technical service, October 2025. Is that October or November? I think it should say November 2025 at the top. Recommendation report 14.3 is received information. Move it, please. The motion. Councillor Tucker, Councillor Graham. Thank you, Councillor Tucker.
No questions or comments, Mr. Mayor.
Councillor Graham.
Recommendation.
Yes, Councillor Haynes.
Sorry. I'm just wondering when someone's going to get the Snake Valley Road and get that repaired. Because the owners out there on the property are having some dramas. They've said, why isn't the grader just going over? I understand that there needs to be drainage, but they also need to be able to access as well.
Through the chair, was that the previous issue where we've got signage up saying local access only?
Snake Valley Road.
Yeah, so if that's the case, if we say that, we have no means to repair, so that.
So why not just run, that's their question, why isn't council just running a grader over it to get rid of that big washout?
Through the chair, I can only repeat what I said. There is no means to repair it, hence we put a sign up and say local access only. And so the road is closed except for local access.
But I think what
That's
Councillor
still
Hayden
not-
is saying is the people, the locals are asking, is it going to be?
Not at this stage,
Not at
there's
this
no, it's not possible, there's no solution, sorry, to
Right.
provide a, mitigation for the issue.
So when will that be looked at though? Because they can't just expect that their road's going to be closed and people can't traverse from one end through to the other. They need that road open and they need to be able to access it. Stock trucks need to access that road. Hay
If
trucks
that's the
do.
case, we have to bring a report back to
All
council
right.
and
Yeah, we
get
can
council
have-
to decide that.
Just need to decide what you don't want to do under that.
So if we would have to allocate funds, so maybe a report needs to come back for the next council meeting, saying,
Next one, right,
sorry.
Jeff, anyway,
Pardon?
sorry, maybe not to the next one, just yet.
It is urgent. I have been bringing this up for a few months now and we really do need to get onto this. They don't pay rates to have roads they can't access. So I do want to make sure that the council sees this as a priority because it is a priority for those owners out there, please.
So, right, any other discussion? Councillor Connor?
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. Through you, I'd like to thank the director for a very detailed report. It's even becoming more detailed every meeting, so thanks.
No other discussion, if not, put the motion as per the recommendation, all in favour? Carried unanimously. And 14.4 monthly activity report, corporate services, November 2025. Recommendations report item 14.4 is received as information. Can I have a motion? Councillor Hayden, seconder please, Councillor McCarthy, Councillor Hayden.
Yes, having the recommendation. I'm going to ask the question again. It's now towards the end of November. How's the progress going on the planning portal and DA tracker?
Through the chair noted your frustrations. We are trying to resolve that with the vendor as well. There are some project bottlenecks, as the report indicates, at ReadyTech. We are working through that. So it is definitely my priority to get that module moving.
Thank you. I'll just say, people that build computers every day, people program every day. This is a program. It's not rocket science and it's taking years.
Yeah, through the chair, you're correct, and there's obviously a big integration piece with the planning portal that is also involved in that.
Councillor McCarthy,
Nothing to add.
any other discussion on this matter? So I put the motion as per the recommendation, all in favour? Carried unanimously. Go to 14.5, investments, October 2025. Recommendations, report item 14.5 is received information. Move it, please. Thank you, Councillor Leverett, Councillor McCarthy. Councillor Leverett,
Nothing there.
Councillor McCarthy,
Pretty straightforward.
any other discussion? Not up and put the motion, all in favour? Carried unanimously. 14.6, grants update, October 2025. Recommendations, report item 14.6 is received information. Move it, please. Councillor Leverett, thank you. Councillor Tucker. Councillor Leverett.
Nothing more to add.
Councillor Tucker.
Always my favourite report, Mr. Mayor.
Any other discussion, Councillor Hayden?
Yeah, just a bit disappointed that council didn't put in the application for the GoFogo grant that was finishing in November. That was closing 18th of November. From the information that I received, and I've heard the information, I've seen the report, but it's not a complicated procedure putting in for that GoFogo grant. The more councils will have put in for this round, I reckon, and we're going to get a limited amount when it's our turn to put in for it. But I hear what you're saying, but I would have put in for it anyway. That's basically it. We've got the grant for the fishing thing, which we're not gonna have the fishing shed up, fishing, table up in the Oberon Dam. So we've got the grant for it, but we're not gonna have the fishing table up for Redfern Roundup. I'm disappointed with that because we don't have many grants to get, and I just wish things would get done. Thank you.
Yes, Director.
Through the chair, the reason that we only received the deed, a number of days ago. So it was, it's very difficult to deliver that project in such a short amount of time.
Can you, thank you. Okay, here's Councillor Connell.
Thanks, Mr Mayor, through you, question the director. So this grant problem, it's the same in all councils.
Through the chair, we spent a lot of time speaking to our colleagues to really understand is this, it's the common thing you hear everywhere. Active transport Crown grants are very difficult for us to secure. Talking about ways of being more grant ready and things with our colleagues, but it's of particular importance for us, but we're not alone. And it's true, like the auditor said, that everyone in the region is really facing it. So,
It's evident from the joint organisation, the Country Mayors Association, that everyone's having the same problem. We're not Robinson Crusoe in this way. Just in relation directed to the Triangle Flat Bridge, the application was withdrawn because it was in Bathurst Council area, or what was the issue there? Oh, you said part of it, you've got a joint organisation project. Is it part of that? Is it?
Yeah, through the chair, that project came as a identified in a regional report to improve bridges. It was we submitted that grant application, but obviously council discussions that have been had about that actual bridge ownership. We discussed with the grant authority the best avenue forward, potentially still leaving that application active, but transferring to Bathurst Council. But they advised the best course of action was to withdraw and look at other opportunities under that bridge report.
Any other discussion? If not, I put the motion as per the recommendation that report item 14.6 has received information. In favour? Carried unanimously.
Mr Mayor, if I could, just in relation to the community upgrade fund, council was successful in the $200,000 application that we released. So the integrated energy projects,
that's right.
It's we'll bring a report back to the step on that.
14.7 status update November 2025. Recommendation report 14.7 has received information. Move it. Thank you, Councillor Hayden. Seconder. Thank you, Councillor Leveris.
Yeah, I don't have much to say in the status report, but I just want to highlight something that I also noticed in the open spaces report from Currajong. On page 411 of 558, under 241217, playground risk assessment further report, council has a resolution in there, and number 5 of that resolution states replace play equipment in Armstrong Place, Buckley Crescent, Blythe Street, Miss Wilson Park and Glendware Avenue South in a staged process as funds become available. Now, part 4 down action in action taken on 412 states part 4 adoption of open spaces strategy pending. Well, as you know, we've got the open spaces strategy out there. Within the open spaces strategy, I've had to kind of nag at council and send through a whole lot of information on the Word document to keep addressing the open spaces strategy, where we're getting written off as the governing body, and the consultants putting, oh, this is just a parkland with no equipment, and this is just a piece of ground with no equipment, and this is a piece of ground with no equipment, without the resolution being put to them that these specific parks will be having equipment. Look at them as equipmented parks, and please don't say they are surplus. So I'm just a little annoyed about that. Probably not the right place to bring it up, but because the two are connected in the strategy in this report, I just want to highlight that, and I want council to note that councillors had made a resolution to put equipment back in these parks, and under no circumstances in the open spaces strategy are they to be listed as bare, barren ground.
Through the chair, great point, and I'm sure that we will.
Oh, I've sent it through to Damien anyway, but it wasn't changed when it went up on exhibition.
Yep.
And that's annoyed me because once again, Blythe Street sat there as a piece of nothingness when it should have been reflected we were told to put our submissions in, we put the submissions in, we do that and it doesn't get listened to.
Okay,
Nothing more to add.
nothing more to add. Okay, I put the motion as per recommend, sorry, councillor. Second,
You're trying to finish by 8:30.
I was trying to get through the general business by 8:30, yes.
So, I've got 4 questions. The first 3 are clarifications of the latest notes that I'm not quite understanding. The first one's on page 396 and it relates to a review of some policies. So the previous 2 notes said that significant review will be undertaken in the first quarter, meaning I think the first quarter that is now finished. But then the latest note, 11th of November, says something completely different that I don't get it. Model Code of Meeting Practice draft policy has been identified by Minister for Local Government, write a new code of conduct. But the policies we're reviewing are nothing to do with code of meeting practice or code of conduct, and I'm just confused.
So through the chair, they absolutely relate to each other because one relates to the code of conduct and the behavioural standards that we're looking to do would align with that. In a conversation that I've had with Matt, after looking at that, we've said, well, we can't keep waiting for this overarching document to come back, so we'll start bringing those things back as individual policies to you for your consideration in the next probably council meeting, to be honest, but I've just been prepared. But they absolutely relate to each other, and we're under the opinion that the minister was going to look at the code of conduct in that time where we've adequately put that in the status update. But he's now made a concession that he's concentrating on the code of meeting practice because he has some issues with his own league.
I got my email. I got my email the other day, councillor, about Minister Honing and the code of conduct and how he's having considerable difficulties about freedom of speech because code of conduct. And he's still jumping that.
And I understand all that.
Couldn't give. I asked him specifically, he can't give us the date when he issued, so that's why the decisions were made.
I couldn't see the connection between policies that were being reviewed and those 2 policies.
Yeah.
The next one is page 409, which starts on page 408. Council review the active transport strategy. And the latest note says no applicable grants found at this time. Fine. Staff continue to work with its contractor to seek opportunities. So which contractor, what are they doing?
So through the chair, you know that we've got a contractor undertaking our comprehensive land use strategy. They provided an offer, in fact, were the forefront in providing the information to seek grant approval in the first instance. And they are actively talking to government, working with us to try and secure funding to update those processes. So our contractor is Courage On, and we are only allowed to do that should they be fully funded.
Thank you. My third one is page 420 and it relates to O'Connell shared pathway. And the latest note says meeting with local member, which you touched on earlier. Then it says Transport for New South Wales are working to amend requirement to allow the extension in finality. I just couldn't understand what that meant.
Well, so council received a grant to put a pathway from A to B. We've gone back and said we can't get to B Transport for New South Wales are coming back to try and work out strategies that we can get it to be in
And,
its finality.
and council coming up with an amended design to assist that. And you might have heard when Councillor Hayden asked me a question on the meeting with Minister Atchison. And I talked about the O'Connell footpath, the width, where it's going to, and integrating Hassel Park. So we're coming back with a design to go to Transport for New South Wales, try and come up with
I think the word finality.
win. We're trying to come up with a win-win situation.
Thank you.
And through the chair, can I just add that on the basis of council's resolution to talk to our local member, that generated the direct contact with the minister. So that's where the link was in those two things. So having the briefing with the minister really shone a light on the difficulties that we're having in this instance and the issues that she's going to have with a funding agency.
And as I said, it was a constructive discussion, so we're trying to move forward with a
Yeah.
revised design.
No, I understand that. I was just unclear on the wording.
Yeah, finality is probably the wrong word.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My fourth and final question is not on any page. I went looking for where we're up to on reviewing the terms of reference for the Morrison Loan Report, and I couldn't find it. It's been removed as completed or as matter closed. And that happened in July, and it happened when one of the other parts of the same resolution had been done, which was terms of reference for the Working Party. And so when those terms of reference, when that guidelines for the Working Party were completed, the whole resolution was signed off as matter closed, even though we haven't done the terms of reference of a Morrison Loan Report.
Working.
I think it was referred to the Works Working Party to do that terms of reference.
And that's what will come to the next Working Party meeting.
Well, but it has been missing from the update report since July.
I'll have a look at the recommendations because we don't normally close them off in that regard.
And
But it's coming back to the works.
The December work.
Correct.
Thank you. That's all, Mr.
Any other discussion on this? If not, I put the motion as per the recommendation. Report 14.7 is received information. All in favour? Carried unanimously. 14.8, questions taken on notice at the previous council meeting. The recommendation is that report 14.8 is received as information and the responses noted. Can I have a motion, please? Thank you, Councillor Graham. Seconder, Councillor Leveris. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr Mayor, as per the recommendation.
Councillor Leveris.
This way.
Any other discussion? I put the motion as per the recommendation. All in favour? Carried unanimously. We've obviously dealt with the audit financial statements, 14.9, we go to 14.10. Not 14.10, I think.
Yes.
Waste working party. Waste working party.
Thank you.
Sorry. Recommendation is the report 14.10 is received as information. A motion, please. Councillor Hayden, seconder. Councillor O'Connor, thank you. Councillor Hayden.
Nothing to add.
Councillor O'Connor. Any other discussion? If not, I put the motion. All in favour? Carried unanimously. We've dealt with 14.11. So could I have someone, there's no urgent business. 16 closed session confidential reports. Matters outlined below. 16.1 Australia Day 2026. 16.2 forced sale of land debt recovery update. 16.3 late report expressions of interest roadside weed spraying. Matters that under section 10A2 of the Local Government Act, the General Manager is the opinion should be dealt with the confidential section of the meeting due to the issues raised under section 10A2. Do I have someone move us into confidential, please? Thank you, Councillor Hayden. Second, Councillor Graham. All in favour? Okay, can we cease the recording? And I think we'll have a 5-minute break. Yep. All right, got it. We are recording. Thank you. During the confidential session of the council meeting, The following resolutions were passed. 16.1, Australia Day 2026, moved by councillor Leveris and seconded by councillor Graham. Motion was that one, Australia Day awards be made in the following categories: A, Citizen of the Year; B, Young Citizen of the Year, bracket person up to and including 25 years, bracket; C, Sportsperson of the Year; D, Young Sportsperson of the Year, bracket person up to and including 25 years, bracket; E, Sports Team of the Year; F, Community Event of the Year; G, Volunteer of the Year; H, Volunteer Group of the Year; and I, Environmental Champion of the Year. 2, that an invitation be extended to all the award nominees, councils and management staff and their partners to meet the Australia Day Ambassador and Partner at a function on the evening of the 25th of January 2026 to be held at the Oberon Golf Club. 3, that the 2026 Australia Day celebrations be held at the Oberon Library and Community Centre. 16.2, for sale of land debt recovery update. The motion was proposed by Councillor McCarthy, seconded by Councillor Hayden, and passed was that council note and receive the update on the for sale of land projects and Demis's Property Proprietary Limited liquidation proceedings. 16.3, expressions of interest - roadside weed spraying. The motion was put by councillor Hayden and seconded by councillor O'Connor that Ivan Bennett and Associates and Howes Ag be nominated as the roadside spraying contractors for Oberon Council for 2025 and 26. Noted that the Mayor and Deputy Mayor as delegates to the Central Tablelands Weeds Authority absented themselves from the vote on this matter. I note that the next meeting of the ordinary of this council is on the 16th of December 2025, commencing at 5:30 p.m. in these Oberon Council chambers, and I declare this meeting closed at 9:48 p.m. Thank you to all councillors and for those who've been in the gallery during the proceedings.